Chapter 187. Who was it? Asking for monthly votes. Qin Sheng and Lin Su had not used their original information since they were in Qingyang County Hospital. Now, all they used were other information arranged by Zhuang Zhou. To be exact, it was arranged by Qin Chang'an. With Qin Chang'an's power, such a small thing was just a piece of cake. That was why others could not find Qin Sheng and Lin Su. In a big country like China, if one wanted to find a person without basic information, it would be like looking for a needle in a haystack. Moreover, whether it was the Lin family or the Yin family, it was impossible for them to make a big fuss about this kind of thing. Moreover, Qin Chang'an had caused them some trouble during this period of time. They did not have the time to care about these trivial things. What was more important was when it involved vested interests. For example, the Lin family's projects under construction and on sale had been seized by the Housing Administration Bureau. This was no different from taking drastic measures, causing them to completely lose their cash flow. Lin Yu knew that Lin Su was in Xiamen by coincidence. One of her best friends studied finance at Xiamen University and had seen Lin Su's photo before. Lin Su often bragged about her cousin. This female straight, a student accidentally came to Spring Breeze and saw Lin Su. At that time, she thought it was impossible. However, after hearing that the boss's name was Lin Su, she quickly called Lin Yu to confirm. Hearing the news, Lin Yu was so excited that she could not speak coherently. It did not occur to her that her cousin, who had disappeared for 3 months, was in Xiamen. Then she asked her best friend to find a way to get Lin Su's phone number. Lin Su sat in the lobby of the hotel. After waiting for a few minutes, Lin Yu appeared in Lin Su's field of vision. She was dressed in cool clothes and was pulling a Remova suitcase. She saw Lin Su from afar and immediately sprinted over. Lin Yu missed Lin Su a lot after a long time. She called her sister excitedly and wanted to give Lin Su a big hug, but Lin Su avoided her. She frowned and said, "Can't you calm down?" Lin Yu restrained her excitement, held Lin Su's hand and said, "Sister, I haven't seen you for a long time. Just 3 months. You were studying abroad before. I didn't see you for more than a year, but I didn't see you so excited," Lin Su said disapprovingly. Now, except for Qin Sheng and her grandmother, she would not care about anyone. Lin Yu pouted as she said, "That's not the same. This time, you suddenly disappeared for 3 months. I thought you were sold." Lin Su knocked on Lin Yu's forehead and scolded her with a smile as she said, "You have a vivid imagination. Hurry up and check in. After that, I will take you to dinner." Lin Su knew that Lin Yu cared about her very much. She was one of the few people in the Lin family who could walk with her. After checking in, Lin Su put down their luggage and drove Lin Yu to a seafood restaurant. Xiamen was a seaside city, so it was naturally famous for its seafood. Although there was also seafood in Ningbo, it was not as abundant as in Xiamen. Zhuang Zhou allocated a Volvo XC60 to Lin Su. Volvos were known for their safety. Lin Su usually had to take him out for a stroll or for an inspection. She was afraid of accidents, so she chose the safest Volvo. "Sister, I haven't seen you for 3 months. You've lost a lot of weight and look a little haggard," said Lin Yu, who was sitting by the French window in the dining room. She knew that her sister must have had a hard time in the past 3 months and had suffered a lot. Lin Su peeled a prawn for Lin Yu and said with a smile, "It's not as exaggerated as you said. I quite enjoy my current life. It's plain, fulfilling, and happy. Where's my brother-in-law? Why didn't you bring him here? At first, I thought you had eloped with him. You don't know how angry the elders in our family were. They glared at you. In the end, Grandma said that since you've made up your mind, you can do whatever you want." Lin Yu sighed. It did not occur to her that the melodramatic plot of the rich and powerful families in the TV series would actually happen to her. The Lin family was really powerful. Lin Su said frankly, "He is busy in the store. I don't want you to see him. I'm afraid that he will overthink. After all, it's difficult to live a peaceful life now. I don't want to be disturbed by others. I heard from my bestie that my brother-in-law is still on crutches." "What's going on?" Lin Yu could understand her sister's words. It was not easy for her to fight for the two of them. Naturally, she did not want others to disturb her brother-in-law. Obviously, her appearance would make her brother-in-law overthink. Lin Su frowned slightly. Every time she thought of Qin Sheng's injury, she would feel a dull pain in her heart. No one knew what Qin Sheng had gone through. At the beginning of his recovery, if he was an ordinary patient, he would need a lot of sedatives and painkillers. Everyone knew how harmful such drugs were to the human body. However, every time Qin Sheng's injury flared up, he gritted his teeth and persevered. There were even a few times when he was in so much pain that he had to hide under the quilt, sweating and crying. Lin Su knew all these. She was more distressed than anyone else. However, she did not say it out loud. It was already a miracle that he could survive such a serious injury. And the initiator was Yin Chaozong. Lin Su suspected that the Lin family was adding fuel to the fire. Therefore, she hated Yin Chaozong and the Lin family. I'm just a little injured. It's nothing serious. Lin Su could only explain in this way. She did not want Lin Yu to think too much. Lin Yu nodded silently. She could see the subtle changes in her sister. She secretly scolded herself for being so stupid. She quickly changed the topic and said, "Sister, what's your plan? Will you live like this in the future?" Lin Su said thoughtfully, "I'll listen to him. I'll live with him in whatever kind of life he likes. Anyway, if I marry a chicken, I'll follow the chicken. If I marry a dog, I'll follow the dog." Although Lin Su said so, she knew that Qin Sheng was not content with his lot. Moreover, he had such a deep hatred. It was impossible for him to accept it so easily. Sooner or later, he would have to go back to face those people and vent his anger. Lin Yu could not understand Lin Su's feelings. She sighed and said, "Sister, you sacrificed so much for brother-in-law. Is it worth it? I think I'm very lucky. I met the right person." Lin Su did not answer whether it was worth it or not. For her, this topic was meaningless. Qin Sheng could face death for her. What had she sacrificed for Qin Sheng? These worldly possessions? Lin Su did not want to continue thinking about these problems. She said casually, "Let's not talk about this. How's the Lin family?" "Not so good." Lin Yu shrugged and said helplessly. Lin Su was confused. "What do you mean?" Lin Yu explained slowly, "I don't know what happened after you left, but the whole Lin family suddenly became chaotic. At first, eldest uncle said that they would find you no matter what. But then something big happened. The Ningbo Commercial Bank suddenly held a shareholders meeting and kicked our family out of the board of directors. The real estate project was criticized by the Provincial Department of Housing because of false publicity and illegal sales. Then, all the projects were seized by the Municipal Housing Bureau, and the sales were prohibited. You know what this means. The whole capital chain is in trouble. So during this period, we have been very busy. Eldest uncle and my father have not been seen for several days. They are either on business trips or attending social engagements. So we have no time to care about you." After Lin Yu finished speaking, Lin Su looked at her in shock. It did not occur to her that so many things had happened in the Lin family in just a few months. Why did such a big change suddenly happen? Lin Su was confused. She did not think it was a coincidence. Could it be that someone was playing tricks on them? The Lin family was a big family like the local tyrant in Ningbo. In addition, they had maintained a good relationship with the provincial government for so many years. It was impossible for someone to suddenly make things difficult for them. Obviously, there was a bigger force blocking the Lin family. Why? Could it be related to Qin Sheng's matter? Was it Uncle Zhuang? Uncle Zhuang could not be so powerful. Then who could it be? Could it be the Yin family's revenge? This was possible. Someone is targeting the Lin family maliciously. Do you know who it is? Lin Su asked. Everyone knew that the Lin family was being targeted. Lin Yu was not surprised that Lin Su could guess it. She nodded and said, "It is true. The Lin family is being targeted. But we just can't find out who is targeting the Lin family." "The Yin family?" Lin Su said casually. Lin Yu laughed out loud and said, "Sister, do you think this is the Yin family's revenge? It is impossible. The Yin family and the Lin family have a lot of business dealings. Are they going to hurt themselves by hurting their enemy? What's more, the Yin family has been having a hard time recently. Many things have happened to them." Lin Su's face changed instantly. If many things had happened to the Yin family, then it was worth asking. She was almost sure that it was related to Qin Sheng. Someone was definitely helping Qin Sheng to vent his anger. Who is it? Uncle Zhuang did not have such power. Could it be Xue Qinyan? The Xue family was rooted in Zhejiang. Now they were the new rich in Shanghai. It was possible. But although Qin Sheng called Xue Qinyan's sister, Xue Qinyan could not offend the Yin and Lin families for Qin Sheng. Even if she was willing, the Xue family would not. Then who was it? Lin Su began to think. Uncle Zhuang said that he was old Master Qin's old friend. Plus, Qin Sheng said that Jiang Xianbang also had some relationship with her grandfather. Lin Su thought about what kind of person old Master Qin was. He would give Qin Sheng so many ways to retreat. Maybe this thing had something to do with old Master Qin. Okay, let's not talk about these things. I have nothing to do with the Lin family now. Hurry up and eat. I don't have time to accompany you. You can go back tomorrow. Lin Su stopped the topic and began to chase Lin Yu away. Lin Yu was very unhappy and said, "You really value love more than friendship and younger sister." In the spring breeze, Qin Sheng and that middle-aged man chatted happily. He definitely did not expect that this middle-aged man was his biological father. Qin Chang'an chose to approach him in this way and get along with him slowly. He really did not know what Qin Sheng would do after he knew the truth. Qin Sheng and Qin Chang'an talked about economic rules and models. Qin Chang'an was a real businessman and also an invisible tycoon, but he knew how to keep a low profile and never showed up in public. He only used agents to control everything. Compared with Qin Sheng, who was a theorist, he had more experience and insights. Qin Sheng listened to the middle-aged man talk about these things obediently, like a good student who listened to his respected teacher. In the end, they talked about geomancy and the Book of Changes. Both Qin Chang'an and Qin Sheng had been influenced by old Master Qin since they were young. They more or less knew about these things. Anyway, they talked about the geomancy pattern of searching for dragons and breaking veins and so on. Anyway, they talked happily. At about 8 o'clock, Lin Su, who had accompanied Lin Yu for dinner, came back. Qin Sheng and Qin Chang'an were still talking. Lin Su saw them talking and laughing from afar. She could not help but feel a little curious. There were not many customers in the restaurant. At this time, the scumbag who had been taught a hard lesson by Qin Sheng yesterday appeared outside Spring Breeze with more scumbags. He shouted, "The cripple inside, come out." Chapter 188. Plot Reversal. In Maoxian County, Sichuan Province, a landslide buried the whole village. This reminds me of the story of the unruly people. It's very sad. I hope the villagers there can be safe and sound. In any store, there would be all kinds of customers, and there would always be interesting customers. Everyone's life was different. If you were willing to listen, you would know a lot of interesting stories and lives through their world. Qin Sheng was a philosophy major, so he had a lot of thoughts and feelings about life. He was more willing to chat with others and feel everyone's world, as long as they were willing to sit down. When he met Qin Chang'an for the first time yesterday, he was naturally vigilant against strangers. After all, Qin Chang'an's questions were a little special. Now that they were familiar with each other, Qin Sheng chatted with him very congenially. This was mainly because Qin Chang'an intended to contact him. Usually, Qin Chang'an would not waste such a long time with strangers. When he was busy, even Qin Ran could not see him for a month or two. Lin Su knew that Qin Sheng must be waiting for her in Spring Breeze, so she came to pick him up and prepare to go home. However, she did not expect to encounter such a thing. Fortunately, she came in time. Otherwise, if something really happened to Qin Sheng, she would be so distressed. Qin Sheng squinted his eyes and looked at the group of scumbags holding weapons outside the window. He did not expect that Aunt Tang's ex-husband would take revenge immediately. He rushed to Spring Breeze at this time. Obviously, he was well prepared. At this time, there were not many customers in the store. There were a few employees and part-time students. They were all ordinary people. If something really happened, they might not stand out. Lin Su, who was walking to Qin Sheng, turned around and walked out. Facing Aunt Tang's ex-husband Du Jiang and 7 or 8 punks behind him, she snorted and said, "Who are you? Go away, bitch. Let the cripple inside come out, or I will smash your shop." Du Jiang waved the steel pipe in his hand and cursed. The other gangsters also shouted, "Cripple, get out, you mother of *cur." Although Qin Sheng was a cripple, he would not be a coward at this time and let Lin Su, a woman, take the lead. He slowly stood up, picked up his walking stick, and said to Qin Sheng on, "Uncle, please sit for a while." After that, Qin Sheng walked outside without hesitation with the help of his walking stick. At this time, the remaining customers in the restaurant were afraid that the fire at the city gate would affect the fish in the moat. It was better to avoid trouble, so they quickly got up and left. The employees in the restaurant were a little embarrassed and did not know what to do. If they stood up for Qin Sheng and Lin Su, they would definitely get hurt when the fight started. If they did not stand up for Qin Sheng and Lin Su, their boss and lady boss would probably be unhappy and fire them later. The four part-time girls were already a little scared. When Qin Sheng was about to walk out, Lilu and then hurriedly stopped him and said, "Boss, let's call the police. You will be in danger if you continue like this." Of course, Qin Sheng would not be impulsive. He nodded with a smile and said, "Lele, you go to the police. Others stay in the store. We can handle it." The two part-timers looked at each other and didn't know whether they should go out or not. If they ended up fighting and the school found out, they would definitely be punished. If they were punished by the university, it would be hard for them to find a job in the future. However, if they didn't go out, they would be a little cowardly. With so many beauties present, how could they survive in the future? Song Dai, who was thin and weak and came from a village, finally stood up and was ready to follow Qin Sheng out. The boy next to him, Tang Xen, pulled it back and said, "Don't be impulsive. If the school found out, it would not be good if you were punished. I can't care so much. The boss treats us well and treats us to meals and drinks. If he acts like this, he will definitely be at a disadvantage. If he is punished, then so be it," Song Dai said righteously. Then he pushed Tang Xen away and walked straight out. Tang Xen did not follow him out in the end. Maybe he was weak in nature, or maybe he was more worried. On the other side, Lilu had already started to call the police. After Qin Sheng walked out, he stood next to Lin Su and patted her shoulder gently, signaling her to stand back. Lin Su frowned and said, "Why did you come out? Go in quickly." Qin Sheng laughed and said, "Yo, my wife is a woman who is not inferior to men. Why? Are you going out on behalf of your husband? If you're hurt later, my heart will ache." "You are still so talkative at this time," Lin Su said angrily. Du Jiang, who was over there, saw Qin Sheng coming out and cursed, "F***CKU. I thought you would be a tortoise hiding in its shell. Are you afraid? You are only so promising. Why don't you dare to come alone? You brought so many cheerleaders to cheer for you." Qin Sheng sneered at Du Jiang. At this time, he saw Song Dai standing next to him. He was the only one in the whole cafe who came out. Qin Sheng felt somewhat relieved in his heart, but he did not say anything. "You're still so stubborn at this time. F***CKU. I will make you kneel down and call me master later." Du Jiang saw that Qin Sheng was still so arrogant, and he was angry. Qin Sheng said calmly, "Now is a society ruled by law. It is not civilized to fight. I have already called the police. You should go home early, wash up, and sleep." "Call the police? Don't worry. When the police come, it will be too late. No one will help you today." Du Jiang laughed and said. The others also ridiculed Qin Sheng unscrupulously. In the cafe, when Qin Sheng stood up and left, Qin Chang'an had already called Gong Sun and the driver. When Gong Sun received the call, he was already on the way with the driver. Just now, they noticed that a Jinbei van rushed to Spring Breeze hurriedly. Then, 7 or 8 men holding steel pipes and wooden sticks came out of the car. At first glance, they knew they were not good people. After hanging up the phone, Qin Chang'an stared outside silently. He really did not know how many people in Shaman dared to bully his son here. In the past, he was not a good father and let his son be bullied. In the future, Qin Chang'an planned to clean up the mess for his son. It could only be said that Du Jiang was unlucky to meet Qin Chang'an. The two were not at the same level at all. They were worlds apart. Outside, Qin Sheng was still stalling for time. He did not want to make Lin Su worry, and he was more afraid of hurting others. Besides, it was not easy to open Spring Breeze. If it was really smashed, he would also feel distressed. After all, it was all money and Lin Su's painstaking efforts. The most important thing was that his body had not recovered yet. He could deal with Du Jiang, but he was obviously not a match for so many people. It was more likely that his wounds would be aggravated. Then what do you want to do? I'll let you beat me up. Qin Sheng curled his lips and said. He also wanted to see what Du Jiang wanted to do. Du Jiang said disdainfully, Beat me up? Isn't it too easy for you? In your dreams. I thought you were going to fight with us alone. Qin Sheng said casually, Well, then tell me how to solve this problem. I'll listen to it first. Du Jiang's eyes began to roll, and then he said with a smile, You beat me up, and I've spent a lot of money on medical expenses. If you want to solve this problem, you can give me 100,000 yuan first. 100,000 yuan, okay, it's a small matter. Qin Sheng promised casually. Anyway, he just said it, but he would not really give it. Du Jiang followed and said, And what? Qin Sheng was surprised and said, It's really an exorbitant demand. I've seen shameless people, but I've never seen such a shameless one. Du Jiang's eyes showed an obscene light, and he looked at Lin Su next to Qin Sheng with a wretched face. This beauty was so beautiful that he had long been tempted. Today, he just took this opportunity to enjoy it, so he said bluntly, Let your girlfriend accompany me for a day, then we'll be even. As soon as Du Jiang said this, Qin Sheng's face changed instantly. He was really reckless. This was the first time that someone dared to threaten him with Lin Su in front of him. Lin Su's face was cold, and her eyes were full of anger. No matter how cowardly Qin Sheng was, he would not be so cowardly. At worst, he would go to the hospital for a few more months, but he would not let anyone bully Lin Su. Therefore, without hesitation, he used all his strength to hit Du Jiang with the crutch in his hand. Du Jiang did not expect that Qin Sheng, the cripple, dared to take the initiative at this time, so he, who was not prepared, was directly hit on the head by the crutch. Du Jiang grimaced in pain. He wiped his face and found that it was bleeding again. He was completely angry and shouted, F***CK? Go and kill him. A group of punks directly rushed to Qin Sheng and others. Lin Su took the lead and stood in front of Qin Sheng. She could be hurt, but Qin Sheng must not be hurt. Song Dai followed closely. At this time, he would definitely not be a deserter. Just when Du Jiang's gang of scoundrels were about to rush in front of Qin Sheng and others, Ma Fei, the driver of Qin Chang'an, and Gong Sun, who had been watching by the side, stood out without hesitation and blocked the way of this group of people. Gong Sun was full of anger. Of all people to bully, why did you bully my young master? Our young master is such a good person. Do you really want to die? Ma Fei had already known Qin Sheng's identity. He really had to observe a moment of silence for this group of people. Of all people to provoke Qin Sheng, the big boss was sitting inside. At this time, they must perform well. Anyway, with the big boss's power, nothing bad would happen. The two men who rushed to the front suddenly flew backward without any warning, which made Qin Sheng, Lin Su, and the others feel surprised. Only the onlookers saw that two men rushed out from the side, and each of them kicked the man who rushed to the front and sent him flying. Who were they? This was the question of Qin Sheng, Lin Su, Du Jiang, and others, and also what the onlookers wanted to know. Du Jiang's other friends were also shocked by the two men who came out of nowhere. After Du Jiang came to his senses, he scolded loudly. Mother ***, where the hell are you from? How dare you block my people? Gong Sun and Ma Fei did not care about Du Jiang at all. Instead, they did not retreat. Instead, they rushed into the crowd. Gong Sun went straight to Du Jiang, who was an eyesore to him. How dare you show off in front of my young master? You really don't know who you are. Seeing this man rushing over, Du Jiang turned pale with fright. He did not expect that they would turn the tables on him. He hurriedly pushed a friend next to him out. That guy fought in a panic and threw a punch at Gong Sun. To Gong Sun, this kind of small character was like a jumping clown. Gong Sun dodged it easily and directly hit the man's abdomen with his arm. The man directly knelt on the ground, moaned in pain, and did not dare to get up. Ma Fei, who was next to him, was even more domineering than Gong Sun. He was like a ferocious tiger coming down from the mountain, dealing with this group of lambs as if he was in no man's land. He killed several of them easily, and the onlookers all applauded him. Seeing that the situation was not good, Du Jiang turned around and was ready to run away. Gong Sun flew up high and kicked this guy's back. Du Jiang naturally fell to the ground with his face down. Gong Sun rushed up to him, grabbed his neck, and lifted him up with one hand. Then he hit his abdomen several times with his knee, followed by several punches in front of him. Finally, he grabbed his shoulder and threw him directly in front of Qin Sheng and Lin Su. At this moment, Du Jiang and his companions were completely defeated in just a few minutes. All of them fell to the ground and screamed in pain. Those who dared to get up were greeted by Gong Sun and Ma Fei with their fists and feet. Those who were paralyzed still dared to get up. This was an insult to their strength. Be it the employees in the restaurant or the onlookers, all of them were cheering loudly. No one had expected that the plot would take such a turn. No one had expected such an ending. Song Dai, who was standing next to them, was even more excited. The skills of these two strange men were really amazing. It would be great if he could be as good as them. Song Dai's eyes lit up. Qin Sheng and Lin Su did not feel happy because of this. Instead, they frowned because they were wondering who on earth these two men with such amazing skills were. They had to be vigilant of strangers who appeared around them. When the two men stood in front of Qin Sheng and Lin Su and looked at them with a smile, Qin Sheng finally could not help but ask, "You are?" Chapter 189. What identity? No one had expected the final outcome of the matter to be like this. Qin Sheng originally wanted to delay the time until the police arrived. Then, Du Jiang's motley crew would definitely scatter. When Uncle Zhuang arrived tomorrow, this matter would be completely resolved. However, he did not expect Du Jiang to challenge his bottom line even more. Uncle Zhuang could tolerate it, but he could not. That was why he took the risk of staying in the hospital for a few more months. However, he did not expect two people to appear out of nowhere. Their skills were even better, and they completely turned the situation around. Within a few minutes, they settled Du Jiang and his gang. Naturally, Qin Sheng and Lin Su did not know Gong Sun and Ma Fei. They thought that they were most likely the subordinates that Uncle Zhuang had arranged to protect them in Xiamen. However, the answer was not what they expected. When they heard Qin Chang'an's words, everyone understood. The employees of Spring Breeze already felt that this uncle who had appeared these 2 days was not an ordinary person. Looking at his attire and aura, he was obviously a rich man or a leader. Now, that Qin Chang'an had made a move, it also verified their words. Qin Chang'an walked to Qin Sheng's side and snorted at Du Jiang and his gang who were lying on the ground. "You guys gathered to cause trouble in public. You guys are really unscrupulous. Shaman security is not as good as before. We've called the police for so long, but we haven't seen any police. This speed of dispatch is really slow." Gong Sun and Ma Fei retreated to Qin Chang'an's side, as if nothing had happened. To them, this small matter was like eating and defecating. As soon as he finished speaking, a long siren sounded. 2 police cars stopped by the side of the road. 4 or 5 policemen alighted and walked slowly to the center of the crowd, shouting, "What are you guys doing here? What's going on?" "You guys came at the right time," Qin Chang'an said playfully. Du Jiang heard the police's voice and quickly got up. He shouted, "Chief Chun, you have to help us. These people are suspicious, and they beat us up. You have to help us." "So you know them." "No wonder," Gong Sun said with a gloomy face. He hated this kind of collusion the most. If they dared to cause trouble in broad daylight, they probably had already informed them beforehand. In such an occasion, even if the leader, Chief Chun, knew them, he had to pretend not to know them. As for how he would deal with them when he got back, he had no idea. Hence, Chief Chun pointed at Qin Chang'an and the rest and ordered his subordinates behind him, "Bring them back." Of course, Qin Chang'an would not show up for this kind of thing. Gong Sun asked, "What about them?" "That's none of your business. You guys beat them up, so naturally you have to follow us back to the police station. They'll be sent to the hospital for an examination first," Chief Chun said confidently. "You make a subjective decision without asking the right and wrong. Do you deserve to be a police officer? You don't even turn on your law enforcement recorder. You're really impressive, Gong Sun said straightforwardly. Obviously, they were in cahoots, just as he had guessed. When Chief Chen heard that, he said angrily, I dare you to say that again. What? Do you dare to make a move with so many pairs of eyes watching? Gong Sun said disapprovingly. Qin Chang'an really did not want to waste time on such a trivial matter. He ordered Gong Sun, call Mayor Huang and let him handle it. Qin Chang'an had business in Xiamen and was friends with many of the leaders in Xiamen's municipal government. Not to mention that he was brothers with those big shots in the province. Such a small matter could be settled with just a phone call. Chief Chen already felt that the middle-aged man in front of him was not simple. No matter what, he was still a chief and had more or less met some leaders. This man's aura made him a little fearful. Now that he heard that, Chief Chen immediately woke up. F***CK. The first thing he did was to call Deputy Mayor Huang. He was the second in command of the municipal government. What kind of background did this middle-aged man have? If Deputy Mayor Huang found out, he could only go home and wait for the notice of dismissal. Hence, he hurriedly went up and asked, You are? Gong Sun stopped Chief Chen and snorted coldly. You don't have the right to know. Since you don't know how to handle this, I'll find someone to teach you how to handle it. Don't be impatient. I didn't understand what happened just now, but I've more or less figured it out now. I'll handle it now, and I'll definitely satisfy you, Chief Chen said with a face full of smiles. He was not an idiot. His brain reacted faster than anyone else and immediately changed his attitude. Moreover, he already knew what was going on. After all, Du Jiang had already informed him. Turning around, Chief Chen was like a chameleon. He changed his attitude again and directly shouted, Bring all these troublemaking hooligans back to the station. They're really lawless. The few policemen looked at each other, not knowing what had happened. Du Jiang and the rest were even more surprised. They hurriedly shouted, Chief Chen, what's going on? We're the victims. Do you think I don't know what kind of people you are? If you talk too much, I'll deal with you when I get back. Bring all you back. Chief Chen glared at Du Jiang. His meaning could not be clearer. Don't cause trouble for me, or else you'll suffer. After Du Jiang and the rest were taken away by the police, the farce came to an end. It was just that the process was really complicated and the surrounding crowd sighed with emotion. Qin Sheng and Lin Su went from being the main characters to being the supporting characters in the end. However, Lin Su only cared about Qin Sheng as long as he was fine. Qin Sheng looked at Qin Chang'an thoughtfully and said, Uncle, thank you. Qin Chang'an waved his hand, afraid that he would be exposed if he stayed any longer. He smiled faintly and said, It's getting late. I'll go back first. With that, he left with Gong Sun and the driver Ma Fei, leaving behind only an invisible silhouette. The others were all pointing at him and guessing the identity of this uncle. It was getting late. Qin Sheng turned around and said to the staff and waiters in the cafe, It's fine now. Go back early and rest today. After that, he and Lin Su also drove back to the neighborhood. After showering, Qin Sheng and Lin Su lay on the bed. Lin Su nestled in Qin Sheng's arms and said gently, I was really scared today. I was really afraid that something bad would happen to you again. Don't be a busybody in the future. This time it's Aunt Tang. I won't scold you. Every family has its own difficulties. Don't tell me you want to help everyone and be the bodhisattva who can deliver all living beings from suffering. If I wasn't injured, this bunch of hooligans is nothing to me, Qin Sheng said stubbornly. Lin Su was angry when she heard this. She immediately stood up and glared at Qin Sheng. Then don't you know that you haven't recovered from your injuries? Are you really planning to be a cripple in the future? If they didn't use you to threaten me, I would definitely admit defeat, Qin Sheng insisted. Lin Su sighed and said, I know you feel sorry for me, but they're just talking fast. I won't lose a single hair. Today, thanks to that uncle, if it weren't for him, you would definitely be at a disadvantage. By the way, who is that uncle? The moment he opened his mouth, he called the mayor. Lin Su was born in a big family and had seen leaders of all levels. Ningbo was a sub-provincial city. The Lin family was deeply rooted in Ningbo. Naturally, she often greeted these leaders. Moreover, Lin Su also knew the domestic political situation. If he could call the municipal government leaders casually to deal with such a small matter. This uncle's identity was obviously not simple. Qin Sheng shook his head and said, I also don't know. He is from Beijing and has retired. Recently, he has been living in Xiamen, which is near us. Yesterday, he came to Spring Breeze and chatted with me for a while. He is quite an interesting uncle. Today, he came again and happened to encounter this matter. He is from Beijing. He should be a retired old leader. Otherwise, he would not have a driver and guards. At least, he is above the provincial level, Lin Su guessed. Qin Sheng was not the Qin Sheng in the past. He would not take the initiative to deliberately approach the uncle because of his special identity. He thought that the uncle would also be disgusted. He said casually, what does it have to do with us? But this matter still has to be solved. When Uncle Zhuang arrives tomorrow, I will discuss with him and not let Du Jiang harass Aunt Tang's family again. Yes, I think so too. Lin Su nodded silently. On the other side, after Qin Chang'an returned to his place, Gong Sun said cautiously, Master, will you be discovered by young master? No, he still doesn't know my identity. But after 2 days, we have to leave and come back in a few days. Otherwise, we may really be exposed, Qin Chang'an said very cautiously. He could not be anxious. This was the premise for him to get along with Qin Sheng. Gong Sun agreed to Qin Chang'an's arrangement and asked, Then about today's matter, do we still need to call Deputy Mayor Huang? Call and tell him, but remind him not to reveal my identity. This way, those people will not find trouble with this kid. In the future, the police in this area will also take care of Spring Breeze. This way, he can recuperate in peace and there will not be any unforeseen events. Qin Chang'an instructed after careful consideration. Gong Sun immediately did as he was told. In the police station, Chief Qin sat in his office, feeling proud that he reacted in time and did not cause trouble recklessly. He did not suspect the middle-aged man's identity. Just based on his aura, he was definitely not an ordinary person. He was familiar with Du Jiang and this bunch of people. Chief Qin did not plan to do anything to them. Capturing them was also to protect them. Out of caution, Chief Qin still followed the proper procedures. He planned to lock them up for a few days before letting them go. This was to prevent the middle-aged man from keeping an eye on this matter and leaving something that could be used against him later. After settling the matter, Chief Qin prepared to go home and sleep. It was not easy being a police officer. Moreover, in a city like Xiamen, his status was more special. Just as he was about to leave, his phone rang. Chief Qin took out his phone and looked. Oh my God, it was the head of the municipal bureau. Why was the head of the municipal bureau looking for him in the middle of the night? Chief Qin subconsciously thought of the middle-aged man and picked up the call with trepidation. A few minutes later, Chief Qin heaved a sigh of relief. He was really King lucky. That middle-aged man was really not simple. He really called Deputy Mayor Huang. Deputy Mayor Huang directly scolded the bureau chief, and the bureau chief came over to teach him a lesson. He had already said that if he did not handle this matter well, he would immediately pack up and leave. The bureau chief even warned him not to think about climbing up the ranks for the next 2 years. If he had not explained in front of Deputy Mayor Huang, he would have been directly fired. Thinking of this, Chief Qin was filled with anger. It was all Du Jiang's fault. His future was delayed just like that. He was very clear that a small police station chief like him was not even worth a fart in front of these big shots. Chapter 190. A little disappointment, the weather in Xiamen was getting hotter and hotter. The men and women in the city were wearing more and more revealing clothes. Men loved summer because they could see white thighs everywhere. Women also loved summer because they could show off their bodies without restraint. That was why it was said that if you don't lose weight in spring, you will only be sad in summer. Zhuangzhou's flight was at 10 o'clock. Qin Sheng and Lin Su headed to Gaoqi Airport after having breakfast and taking a stroll. Qin Sheng had already started his intensive training. Hence, Lin Su suggested that Qin Sheng get more sleep every day. He did not need to take a stroll in the morning anymore. He could just take a stroll at night. Lin Su had dressed up meticulously today. She wore a floral long dress and knitted sandals. Her long hair fluttered in the wind, making her look very beautiful. Qin Sheng still looked like a loser. He wore a t-shirt and shorts with flip-flops. His hair had grown longer recently. No one dared to say that he was Lin Su's boyfriend. They didn't wait at the domestic arrival gate. Instead, they waited for Zhuang Zhou to arrive and drove to meet him at the domestic departure level. Zhuang Zhou had other cars to pick him up. There were also 2 subordinates with him. They were all actors that Qin Chang'an had arranged for him to act. I told you that I don't need you to pick me up, but you insisted on coming. Just wait at home, Zhuang Zhou muttered after they got out of the car. He was not a talkative person, but he forced himself to become such a person during this period of time. Otherwise, he would be exposed. Lin Su smiled. Uncle Zhuang, we don't have anything to do in the morning. It's our duty to pick you up. Let's get in the car first. Zhuang Zhou smiled and nodded. He then asked his subordinates to get into another car to pick them up. He followed Qin Sheng and Lin Su to Pearl Bay Garden. On the way to Pearl Bay Garden, Zhuang Zhou asked with concern, Qin Sheng, how are you recovering? Qin Sheng said politely, Uncle Zhuang, I'm fine. I started training with the equipment yesterday. In about 2 or 3 months, I'll be able to return to my previous state. His life was saved by Zhuang Zhou. Qin Sheng would always remember this kindness. Lin Su drove, and Qin Sheng sat in the front passenger seat. Zhuang Zhou, who was sitting in the back seat, said, Follow the trainer's plan. Don't rush. The most difficult 3 months are over. The last 2 or 3 months won't make a difference. Uncle Zhuang, don't worry. I'll keep an eye on him, Lin Su said coquettishly as she looked at Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng stroked her hair dotingly, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Qin Sheng asked casually, Uncle Zhuang, why did you come as shaman this time? How many days do you plan to stay here? Zhuang Zhou said in a low voice, I'm mainly here to see you guys. I haven't seen you guys for some time, especially your injury. I don't know how you've recovered. Secondly, I'm here to settle some things on the way. I'm going to Hong Kong the day after tomorrow. Other than visiting Qin Sheng and Lin Su, he really had nothing else to do in Xiamen. After all, he was not a businessman like Qin Chang'an. Lin Su said in surprise, Why are you in such a hurry? I thought you would stay for a few more days. Zhuang Zhou said casually, After I'm done with my work, I'll stay here for 10 days to half a month. He was just declining. Of course, he would not stay in Xiamen for too long. This was Qin Chang'an's arrangement. How's your stay in Xiamen during this period of time? Have you adapted to the environment here? Also, how's your coffee shop? Zhuang Zhou asked with concern. Lin Su smiled and said, It's pretty good. We quite like the city of Xiamen. It's just that it's starting to get popular recently. The business of the coffee shop is not bad. It's just a way to kill time. Zhuang Zhou smiled and said, Yes, stay in Xiamen first. When Qin Sheng's body recovers, you guys can think about it carefully by then, Zhuang Zhou said. When they returned to Pearl Bay Garden, Lin Su started to cook. The dishes were all bought yesterday. For any friend or guest, the best way to treat them was definitely to have a family dinner, let alone Uncle Zhuang. Zhuang Zhou accompanied Qin Sheng to drink tea in the study. Seeing the paper and ink that were thrown everywhere in the study, Zhuang Zhou was very surprised and said, Qin Sheng, did you write all these? Qin Sheng smiled and said, Nothing to kill time. I haven't written for a long time. I'm a little rusty. Zhuang Zhou still had some understanding of calligraphy and had seen quite a number of calligraphy treasures by famous artists. After randomly picking up a few pieces of calligraphy and looking at them, he could not help but feel shocked. Qin Sheng's calligraphy level was much better than those famous artists who fished for fame. Those people all relied on their original identity and background. In fact, their calligraphy was really ordinary. Qin Sheng's calligraphy was really good. Good calligraphy. Zhuang Zhou picked up the calligraphy that Qin Sheng wrote in cursive script. The cold mountain temple outside Gusa City. The bell rang at midnight to the passenger ship. This cursive script was quite similar to the calligraphy of the great man. Everyone knew that the great man's calligraphy was the Huai Su style of learning. Qin Sheng was a little embarrassed and said, I wrote it for fun. Most of the calligraphy in the study were cursive script and semi-cursive script. It could be seen that Qin Sheng's free and easy state of mind. I didn't expect you to have this skill, Zhuang Zhou said in admiration. If those calligraphy masters saw this, they would definitely be shocked. Qin Sheng smiled and explained, when I was young, I learned from the old master and was thrown to Bela Museum to practice. If I didn't have some level, it would be really embarrassing. I almost forgot that the old master also wrote good calligraphy. I remember that he was a big shot who loved calligraphy in the capital city in the past. Zhuangzhou said thoughtfully. At the end of the sentence, he suddenly realized that he almost let it slip. He quickly changed the topic and said, Qin Sheng, this piece of calligraphy is really good. Just give it to me. This time, Qin Sheng originally planned to inquire about the past of the old master and the Qin family from him when Zhuangzhou came as shaman this time. After all, when Jiang Xianbang knew the old master had already gone to Zhongnan Mountains. He definitely did not know. Zhuangzhou and the old master were old friends. He had never seen Zhuangzhou before, so obviously he knew the old master's past. Uncle Zhuang, tell me about my grandfather's past. When I was young, I asked my grandfather, but he did not tell me. Later on, I also did not ask about it. Qin Sheng stared at Zhuangzhou and said with a smile. Zhuangzhou was in a bit of a dilemma. It was reasonable for him to tell Qin Sheng about the old master's past. However, if he told Qin Sheng, there might be a loophole and expose Qin Chang'an's identity. However, if he did not tell Qin Sheng, obviously, Qin Sheng would not suspect him. After weighing the pros and cons, Zhuangzhou said, about the old master, I have only met him a few times. Most of the time, I heard from my father. He said that the old master is a living god and can see through everything. He has traveled all over the country and made friends with many big shots. He also made many good connections. However, the old master has never done anything for himself. He could be considered as an unworldly master. The last time I saw the old master was 6 years ago in Zhongnan Mountains. My father asked me to look for the old master. At that time, the old master told me about you and asked me to take care of you. After hearing this, Qin Sheng was more or less disappointed. Basically, it was as if he had not said anything. Naturally, he could not let Zhuangzhou go. He continued to ask, Uncle Zhuang, then how many years did my grandfather stay in Beijing? I'm not sure about this. After all, I don't have much interaction with the old master. I heard a lot of things from my father, Zhuangzhou said perfunctorily. Qin Sheng squinted and said, Uncle Zhuang, then do you know my father or have you seen him? Zhuangzhou did not know anything. He still shook his head and said, to be honest, I have never seen him or heard of him. I didn't know that the old master Qin had a son. If the old master had not told me about you 6 years ago, I would not have known that he had a grandson. Qin Sheng was completely disappointed. He let out a long sigh. It seemed that he really had to go to Beijing City and ask the old master called Chen Changsheng. Not to mention where the old master was, he also did not know if he was alive or not. After all, the old master could be brothers with him. He was probably an old man in his 80s or 90s. Qin Sheng did not get anything out of him. He also did not know whether Zhuangzhou really did not know or was pretending not to know and was not willing to tell him. Or there was something deeper behind this. Qin Sheng, who was completely disappointed, did not have the mood to ask anything. He chatted with Zhuangzhou casually about calligraphy. After that, he thought of what had happened last night and told Zhuangzhou about Du Zhang's matter. He asked Zhuangzhou if he could think of a way to help. The neighbors were all good people. They had been suffering for half their lives and had been tortured by this man. After Zhuangzhou heard that, he immediately agreed. He actually dared to find trouble with you. Don't worry about this matter. I'll handle it. I'll let you know if there's any news later. Not long after, Lin Su had prepared lunch. She knocked on the door and called Qin Sheng and Zhuangzhou to eat. The lunch was simple and sumptuous. There were 4 dishes and 1 soup, all of which were Lin Su's specialties. Now, apart from those complicated main dishes, she could be said to be a first-class chef. Zhuangzhou praised her for not expecting that the daughter of a rich family could also become a good wife and mother. After lunch, Zhuangzhou left. He knew that Qin Chang'an was in Xiamen. Hence, he went to meet him and told him that Qin Sheng had taken the initiative to ask about him and the old master. Qin Sheng took an afternoon nap. In the afternoon, Lin Su sent him to the rehabilitation center. In a tea house on Yuping Mountain, Zhuang Zhou met Qin Chang'an. He had not seen Qin Chang'an for some time. Usually, they contacted each other through phone calls. After all, Qin Chang'an had more things to do. Usually, the people he met were some high-ranking officials or big shots. After listening to what Zhuang Zhou said, Qin Chang'an said thoughtfully, "You said that he asked you about the old master's past and asked about me?" Zhuang Zhou nodded quietly and said, "Yes. But I don't know what he meant, so I didn't reveal any information and just brushed it off. Ordinary people can't understand this guy's thoughts. I don't know how the old master told him. It seems that I have to find some time to give him a warning." Qin Chang'an was also unclear. After all, he did not know how the old master told Qin Sheng, how much Qin Sheng knew, and what his plans were. Zhuang Zhou reminded him kindly, "Aren't you afraid of being found out by contacting him like this? I will be careful. Moreover, if he finds out, he will find out. I am his father, not his enemy. Moreover, this matter was not caused by me." Qin Chang'an snorted coldly. This was the Qin family's matter. It was not appropriate for Zhuang Zhou to intervene. He could only smile and said, "What about Du Zhang's matter? You don't have to worry about this. I will ask Gong's son to keep an eye on him." Qin Chang'an arranged casually. Then, he said, "I will go back to Beijing tomorrow. You should come with me. It is better to see him less during this period." Chapter 191. So it was like this. Another busy and dull day passed. In the evening, Lin Su accompanied Qin Sheng to enjoy the afterglow of the sunset in the coffee shop. The sunset covered the sea, and the sky and water were the same color. They could see the islands and fishing boats in the distance. The seabirds were chasing freedom in the sky, and the sea breeze was blowing. Qin Sheng and Lin Su sat opposite each other, chatting softly. Everything was so comfortable. When it came up to ask Lin Su about some small matters, Lin Su asked in a call Song Dai, the only boy who followed her out last night. Spring Breeze was basically made up of women, but there were still 4 men. 2 of them were part-time students. However, the only one who stood out in the whole of Spring Breeze last night was Song Dai, who was usually a man of few words but was honest and dutiful. As for women, he could not help much. As long as he did not get involved, it was fine. Therefore, it was reasonable that he did not stand out. As for the other men, they did not stand out. Qin Sheng could understand and did not blame them. After all, in this society, no one was willing to cause trouble, not to mention facing a group of gangsters who had no bottom line. They were either locals or students, and they might be retaliated against later. However, Qin Sheng felt somewhat uncomfortable. However, what made Qin Sheng happy was that Song Dai stood out in the end. This boy who rarely spoke made Qin Sheng's eyes light up. He felt that if a young man, lost courage and responsibility, he would eventually return to being ordinary. He would be like most men for the rest of his life, mediocre and incompetent. It was not a bad thing to be cautious, to respect the end and weigh the pros and cons. However, occasionally being hot-blooded and impulsive was the shining point of a man. And it told Song Dai that the lady boss and the boss wanted him to go up. Song Dai was a little surprised, but as a student of Shaman University, he was not a nerd. He knew it must have happened last night. Tang Xin felt very uncomfortable. Song Dai was the only one who dared to stand out last night. He did not have the guts. The boss and lady boss were naturally grateful. They would definitely treat Song Dai seriously in the future, but he would not have such treatment. Tang Xin shook his head and muttered to himself. It was just a broken coffee shop. How capable could the boss and the lady boss be? He was just working here to earn some money. Song Dai was just lucky. If they had really fought last night, it was hard to say what would have happened today. On the second floor of the coffee shop, Song Dai still looked serious. He said lightly, "Brother Qin, Sister Lin, are you looking for me?" Qin Sheng waved his hand and smiled. "Song Dai, come here, sit down and talk." Song Dai walked over slowly and sat down a little uneasily. Lin Su naturally poured a cup of tea for Song Dai. He was the second person in the entire cafe to enjoy this kind of treatment. Song Dai was a little overwhelmed by the favor. As a child from the countryside, He had some inferiority complex in his heart. He didn't have the confidence to face anyone or anything. Before the Song dynasty, he didn't dare to talk to girls. It wasn't until he went to university that he slowly got used to it. However, even in a coffee shop, he rarely talked to beautiful girls like an Lele, let alone a goddess like Lin Su. When he talked to Lin Su, he didn't even dare to look her in the eyes. Qin Sheng said with a smile, "Song Dai, your sister, and I heard from them that your family has not been doing well recently. You've been in Spring Breeze for half a month, and your sister and I have seen how you've handled yourself. This money is a token of our appreciation. You can take it and use it first. Don't be in a hurry to reject us. Consider it as a loan from me. When you have money in the future, you can return it to us." For Qin Sheng, if others were nice to him, he would definitely return them double. If others were not nice to him, he would definitely return them double. Song Dai was not stupid. He knew what was going on, but he was not the kind of person without logic or principles. He said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner, "Brother Qin, Sister Lin, I know what you mean. I'm very grateful to you for having this job in Spring Breeze. What's more, the salary here is higher than that of those part-time jobs outside. I can not only earn my living expenses here, but also leave a few hundred yuan for my family. So I work hard. That's my duty. If I don't work hard here, I'll feel sorry for myself." After hearing Song Dai's words, both Qin Sheng and Lin Su had a whole new level of respect for this child. Not everyone could say such words at this time. Last night, he might be impulsive. Today, he might refuse politely or accept politely. But he could still say these words so rationally. This child was really not simple. Song Dai said honestly, "Last night, I didn't do anything. I just followed you out because I was afraid that something would happen to you. You've been very kind to me. At this time, I can't back out. If you get hurt or something happens to you, I'll feel uneasy. Secondly, I may not continue with this job, so I have to come out for any reason." Lin Su looked at Qin Sheng and nodded silently. Her meaning was obvious. Qin Sheng also admired Song Dai very much. Many children were like this when they were young. He really hoped that most of the children, after entering society for a few years, could still maintain this original intention and not associate with this society. "I don't like to hide things. Last night, your sister and I were both surprised and gratified that you could stand up for us. No matter what happens in the end, we have a whole new level of respect for you for what you did. Secondly, we didn't intend to give you the money. We heard about what happened to your family, but we wanted to give you only 5,000 yuan. After all, who doesn't have family issues? I'm still lame. I gave you 10,000 yuan because we are grateful to you for what happened last night. Finally, you have to take the money. Don't care about your reputation at this time. Family matters are more important. If you really want to thank me, study hard and work hard in the future." Song Dai's words made him think that it was a simple thing to do at first. But after hearing Song Dai's words, he became serious. "If you really want to thank me, just study hard and work hard in the future." Okay. After hearing the boss's words, Song Dai did not say anything more and directly nodded. His decisiveness surprised Qin Sheng and Lin Su once again. Song Dai stood up and picked up the paper bag. He gritted his teeth and said, "Brother Qin, Sister Lin, thank you. I'll definitely return the money. I'll get to work first." After saying that, Song Dai left. His eyes were a little moist. This reminded him of what his mother had said before. God would not mistreat kind people. As long as they were willing to give, they would be rewarded eventually. After Song Dai left, Qin Sheng and Lin Su fell into silence. Qin Sheng was very emotional. He really admired Lu Jiangbai, whom he met a few days ago. Today, he saw Song Dai in his truest form, and it made him look at him in a different light. Who said that it's hard for a poor family to produce a noble son? Lin Su said thoughtfully, "For such a child, as long as he was not anxious for success and did not take the wrong path, if he did not succeed, God must be blind." Qin Sheng smiled faintly and said, "This reminds me of what others told me in the past. Only those who have worked hard can talk about the importance of being born, talent, and luck. Those who don't work hard don't have a right." Lin Su held Qin Sheng's hand and said softly, The most straightforward words from the ancestors are that gold will always shine. It seemed that these words were also for Qin Sheng's ears. When Qin Chang'an appeared in Spring Breeze on time, Lulu ran up in a hurry and said excitedly, "Brother Qin, that uncle is here again." Qin Sheng and Lin Su looked at each other and did not say anything. After a long time, Lin Su smiled and said, "Go ahead. After all, Uncle helped us a lot. Don't think too much." Qin Sheng nodded and went downstairs. Lin Su did not go down. "I thought you weren't here," Qin Chang'an said with a smile when he saw Qin Sheng. A man who had achieved great things would have to maintain his usual style of doing things in front of anyone, no matter if it was a leader or an ordinary person at the bottom of the hierarchy. This was the true ability. However, most people were like this. When they met big shots, they would flatter them, but when they met ordinary people, they would be bold and confident. Qin Sheng sat down slowly and said, "I was upstairs watching the sunset with my wife. I heard that you were here, so I came down quickly." "You were not like this yesterday," Qin Chang'an joked. Qin Sheng said seriously, "Uncle, you helped me a lot yesterday. Otherwise, I might not have the opportunity to sit here with you now. Now our store treats you as the highest standard VIP. I still hope that you treat me as an ordinary person," Qin Chang'an said casually. He really did not want to lose their original identities when they were in contact. This was really not good, and it was not good for his future development with Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng felt that since he already knew something, there was no need to hide it, which would make people feel that he was hypocritical. So he said directly, "I can." But those kids in the store yesterday were guessing what kind of big shot uncle is who could directly contact the deputy mayor. They have never seen such a person. "Are you also guessing?" Qin Chang'an joked. "But judging from your style of talking, you should be more experienced than them. Otherwise, you would not talk to me like this." "To be honest, I am also guessing," Qin Sheng said honestly. Qin Chang'an explained with a smile, "I used to work in shaman, so I made some friends. Later, I went to Beijing until I retired. This is also the reason why I have to live in shaman for a period of time every year." "I see." Qin Sheng nodded and said meaningfully. Qin Chang'an did not dare to talk further. He said casually, "Today I came here to say hello to you. I have to go back to Beijing tomorrow. There is something I need to deal with. But I will come to shaman after I am done. It is rare to meet a young friend like you. We can be considered friends despite the difference in age. Uncle, have a safe trip. Spring breeze welcomes you again," Qin Sheng said softly. Qin Chang'an waved his hand, stood up, and left directly. The staff in the coffee shop all greeted him politely. Qin Chang'an really regretted coming forward to help last night. He did not expect that his plan would be disrupted by a group of gangsters. Man proposes, God disposes. But if he did not come forward, something might really happen to Qin Sheng last night. The next day, Qin Chang'an and Zhuang Zhou both left. Before Zhuang Zhou left, he told Qin Sheng that Du Zhang's matter had been dealt with. He had committed a few cases and took this opportunity to clear them all. It was estimated that he would be locked up for several years. In fact, it was Qin Chang'an who dealt with them. Chapter 192. Recovery, choice, begging for monthly votes, begging for collection, begging for support. Naturally, Chief Chun did not know about the relationship between Qin Sheng and that uncle. He was also too lazy to care about their relationship. As long as this brother did not get into trouble in his jurisdiction, he would be thankful. So he hurried over to make friends and comfort him. Qin Chang'an and Zhuang Zhou were both gone. Qin Sheng's life returned to peace again. He went to the rehabilitation center to train, went to Shaman University to attend classes, and spent the rest of his time in Spring Breeze. He spent the rest of his time with his wife. He did not think too much and only wished for his body to recover as soon as possible. After all, this was the foundation of everything. Du Fei would also go to Spring Breeze to help out when she had nothing to do, but it was not a part-time job. This girl was a straight-A student and wanted to continue her studies. So she spent most of her time in the study room and the library. In the past 2 days, she had overheard others talking about what had happened that night in the coffee shop. Only then did she know that she had almost made a big trouble for Qin Sheng and Spring Breeze. She went home and told her mother about it. Auntie Tang immediately called Lin Su and insisted on treating them to dinner that night. Qin Sheng and Lin Su could not refuse, so they had dinner at a Minnan restaurant nearby. In order to thank Qin Sheng and Lin Su, Auntie Tang specially bought a bottle of good red wine. This treatment made Qin Sheng and Lin Su feel a little embarrassed. After the dishes and wine were served, Auntie Tang's family raised their glasses and said, "Qin Sheng, I really did not expect that he almost caused trouble for you. If something really happened that night, I don't know how to face you." Lin Su smiled and said, "Auntie Tang, it's not as serious as you think. It's fine in the end. We can't let Qin Sheng watch him bully you all the time. It's not easy for you all these years. My life was ruined by him. Without him, I might be very happy now, but maybe this is my fate," Auntie Tang said with some grievances. Du Fei felt very sad and comforted. "Mom, you still have me and my brother. We will definitely be filial to you so that you won't have to suffer in the future." "Mom is satisfied with your words," Auntie Tang said with emotion. Qin Sheng said faintly, "Auntie Tang, Du Jiang has been arrested. I heard from Director Chen of the police station that he has a lot of criminal records. If he is arrested this time, he may be sentenced to a few years in prison. You don't mind, do you? I can only be at ease if this kind of person is locked up. How can I have any opinion? I have to thank you," Aunt Tang said quickly. She and Du Jiang had no feelings for each other, and all that was left was hatred. If it were not for Du Fei and Du Feng, she would have wanted to die with him, but she was reluctant to give up her children. Du Feng gritted his teeth and said, "Mom, don't worry. When he is released, I have grown up. If he dares to bully you, I will teach him a lesson. You'd better study hard and find a stable job in the future. Then I'll be relieved," Aunt Tang said. These two children were really sensible. Maybe it was God's compensation to him. After that, Aunt Tang turned to Du Fei and Du Feng and said, "Fei Fei, Xiao Feng, from now on, you must treat Brother Qin and Sister Lin as your real brother and sister. No matter what they need, you must help them. Do you hear me?" "Yes, Mom. Don't worry," Du Fei and Du Feng said at the same time. Qin Sheng and Lin Su were really a little embarrassed. It was just an ordinary help. After all, Aunt Tang treated them very well. They just wanted to return the favor. They did not expect that Aunt Tang would take it so seriously. After dinner, the two families went back to the Pearl Bay district together. The weather in Xiamen was getting hotter and hotter. Day after day, Qin Sheng and Lin Su's life was still ordinary. However, Qin Sheng's body was getting better and better. Dr. Zhao gradually increased the intensity. Qin Sheng also had a lot of special training methods, such as practicing Tai Chi and punching skills that were not too domineering. A month later, Qin Sheng completely threw away his walking stick and was no different from an ordinary person. 2 months later, Qin Sheng's body had recovered more than half of its peak. He began to practice the martial arts that his previous masters taught him and what he learned from Changbaji. Qin Sheng felt that he had to improve his strength so that he would not take risks next time. If his strength could reach Changbaji's level, the probability of him surviving in danger would also increase. Qin Sheng had stayed in Xiamen for nearly 4 months. During this period, Qin Chang'an came to Xiamen intermittently. However, he did not stay for too long each time. Basically, he stayed for no more than 3 days. Qin Sheng was already used to this uncle's style and treated him as an old friend. Qin Chang'an also began to teach Qin Sheng many principles and experiences of how to behave and do things intentionally or unintentionally, which made him feel quite accomplished. It made him feel that he was making up for the gap of 20 years. However, Qin Chang'an was very lucky that Qin Sheng did not have too much of a generation gap with him. In many ways of doing things, Qin Sheng was very similar to him. He was afraid that the old master would not teach Qin Sheng to be like him. In this case, there would be more conflicts between them when they recognized each other in the future. Therefore, there was one time when Qin Chang'an was drunk and half sober. He showed off to Gongsun that this was his son. Xiamen. After the summer vacation of Xiamen University, the business of Spring Breeze was not as good as before. Qin Sheng spent more time reading, practicing calligraphy, and exercising. The students who worked part-time in the coffee shop had all gone back. Du Fei and Du Feng came over to help when they were free, especially Du Fei, who basically stayed in Spring Breeze. During this period of time, Lin Su felt that Qin Sheng's heart, which had been calm for more than half a year, started to become restless again. She knew that Qin Sheng was not a man who was satisfied with being mediocre. He had his own ideals and goals. The peace during this period of time was just to heal his injuries. Now that his injuries had been healed, he had to start thinking about his next choice. Staying in Xiamen, returning to Shanghai, or other choices. Qin Sheng was hesitant. Lin Su did not ask Qin Sheng. She was waiting for Qin Sheng to make a decision after careful consideration. No matter what choice Qin Sheng made, she would support him without hesitation. No matter where he went, she would follow him. In Shanghai, after Qin Sheng left, a lot of things happened. Chang Baji resigned from Shangshan Ruoshui. Originally, he wanted to take revenge on Yi Muyang and Yin Chaozong. In the end, he was persuaded by Xue Qingyan, Hao Lei, and the others. They felt that there was no need to take this risk. Everything could wait until Qin Sheng came back. Everyone thought that Qin Sheng would take the initiative to contact them. However, after such a long time, there was still no news from Qin Sheng, which made everyone very puzzled. And there was Lin Su. Apart from the text message sent that time, there was no news from Lin Su anymore. Just like Qin Sheng, she completely disappeared. Everyone called Lin Su, but found that Lin Su's phone had been turned off. Qin Sheng and Lin Su disappeared. Just like that, more than half a year had passed. Except for a few good friends who cared about Qin Sheng and Lin Su, others had almost forgotten about them. Maybe they would only think of them occasionally. After Chang Baji resigned from Shangshan Ruoshui, he began to travel around. Hao Lei stayed in Shanghai and steadily worked as Han Bing's driver. He was waiting for Qin Sheng to come back. Otherwise, he would go back to Xi'an alone and would not be able to face Annie Wang and the others. Su Qin looked for Hao Lei several times because Qin Sheng promised her that as long as she was in trouble, he would appear at any time. However, he broke his promise. Su Qin was a little angry. After she found Hao Lei, she found out that Qin Sheng had disappeared again. Su Qin sighed deeply. Her face was heavy. No one knew what she was thinking. On Han Bing's side, the matter of Guoping Group had completely come to an end. After the bankruptcy and reorganization, she held a small number of shares, which were worth a lot. She could be considered as a real rich woman with a net worth of hundreds of millions. Therefore, Hao Lei did not dare to leave. After all, he had promised Qin Sheng to protect Han Bing. Han Bing was not used to Qin Sheng's disappearance. In the beginning, she had been thinking of ways to look for Qin Sheng. However, there was no news from any channels. Following that, her imagination ran wild. She wondered if something had really happened to Qin Sheng and if something had happened to Lin Su. Every time, Hao Lei could only come up with all kinds of explanations to make her believe that Qin Sheng was a lucky man and would not die. Now, Han Bing could not care about Qin Sheng and Lin Su. She only hoped that Qin Sheng could appear in front of her safely and healthily. In this way, she would be satisfied. As for Qin Sheng's other friends, Xia Ding was still busy as usual. However, Qin Sheng's matter had changed Xia Ding a lot. At least during this period of time, he did not have a girlfriend anymore. Instead, he focused on his work. He did not dare to tell his other two roommates about Qin Sheng for fear that they would get angry. Among all of them, Xue Qingyan was the one who had started to take revenge for Qin Sheng. The Xue family was a rich and powerful family in Zhejiang. Xue Qingyan's old master had retired for many years, but he still had some influence. Moreover, her brother had a bright future in Shanghai. Although it was impossible for him to confront the Yin family and the Lin family directly, it was very easy for him to find some trouble, especially the Lin family. After all, they were in Zhejiang. It was much easier for Xue Qingyan to deal with them than the Lin family. Xue Qingyan was more convinced than anyone else that Qin Sheng was definitely alive. And one day, he would definitely appear in front of everyone again. This was just a matter of time. In Shangshan Ruoshui, Qin Sheng's departure and Chang Baji's resignation led to a sudden change in the structure of Shangshan Ruoshui. After all, Yi Muyang was one of the masterminds behind Qin Sheng's accident. Wang Haichao successfully became the manager of Shangshan Ruoshui's reception department. Liu Yuan and Yu Fengji directly resigned without hesitation, because they knew that Wang Haichao would definitely not let them go. Instead of being bullied here, it was better for them to change jobs. Anyway, they had earned a lot these few years. Following that, a few artists also resigned. It was another weekend evening. Qin Sheng sat by the bed, reading and drinking tea in a daze. Lin Su was chatting with Du Fei. Occasionally, she would raise her head and look at Qin Sheng. Her eyes were full of tenderness. At the same time, a flight from Beijing had just landed in Xiamen. A woman dressed very exquisitely walked out of the airport in a hurry. After she was picked up by an Audi A8L, she went straight to Spring Breeze. Half an hour later, the Audi A8L stopped by the roadside. The woman walked alone to Spring Breeze. She was very excited, but also very uneasy. It seemed that every step she took was especially heavy. She did not know how many times she had dreamed of him, how many times she cried bitterly in the middle of the night, and how many times she stared at his photo in a daze. She was very afraid that she would really not see him again in her lifetime. She was more willing to exchange everything she had now to see him one more time. Chapter 193. Why didn't you tell me? Sorry, I had something to do yesterday. I will make it up today. In summer, the north was sultry and the south was hot and humid. Different places were suffering, so everyone was thanking Willis Carrier, the inventor of air conditioning. The moon was bright and stars were sparse in Xiamen, and the night was good. In Beijing, it was cloudy and windy. Lightning flashed and thunder roared. A heavy rain was coming. However, everyone was happy. At least it was not as sultry as 2 days ago. If it went on like this, no one could stand it. In the alley of Dongchang District, Qin Chang'an, who had no social activities or dinner parties today, sat on the balcony on the second floor. He made a cup of Longjing tea before the bright festival and enjoyed the rare coolness of summer. His life had always been busy, and he was even busier at work. Qin Chang'an was totally different from his daily life. He was vigorous at work, but he was calm in his daily life. When the pot of tea was about to be finished, Gong Sun ran upstairs hurriedly. He stopped when he was a few steps away from Qin Chang'an. Seeing that Qin Chang'an was lost in thought, he hesitated whether to interrupt him. Qin Chang'an came to himself and looked up at Gong Sun. It seemed that he wanted to say something, but stopped on second thought. Qin Chang'an said casually, "What's the matter?" Gong Sun said uneasily, Ran went to Xiamen. Hearing this, Qin Chang'an was stunned subconsciously, but he did not say anything. He was lost in thought. Yes, the woman who rushed to Xiamen overnight and was already at the door of Spring Breeze was Qin Ran, Qin Sheng's sister. Gong Sun did not disturb her. He just got the news. He did not know who leaked the news, but Qin Ran knew that her brother, who had been missing for years, was finally found and his location was confirmed. Out of love, Gong Sun hoped that the sister and brother could meet each other as soon as possible. After all, they had been separated for more than 20 years. Qin Ran could not forget him and hated Qin Chang'an very much. This matter had been torturing her. If anyone mentioned her brother in front of Qin Ran, she would definitely get angry. This became her most vulnerable point. She had been looking for her brother for more than 20 years. However, it had been too long. It was like looking for a needle in a haystack. Now, she finally found her brother. Naturally, Qin Ran could not wait to meet him. She did not care about what Qin Chang'an thought. However, for the sake of reason, Gong Sun felt that Qin Chang'an's plan was very safe. Qin Chang'an would slowly get to know Qin Sheng, build up their relationship, understand what kind of person Qin Sheng was, and then recognize him. There would be less resistance. Now, the plan was about to succeed. However, Qin Ran went to see Qin Chang'an in a hurry, which meant that all her previous efforts would be in vain. If Qin Sheng knew that Qin Chang'an had done this, he would be dissatisfied with Qin Chang'an and resist him. Gong Sun was not in a hurry to call Qin Ran to stop her. Otherwise, their relationship might fall into a stalemate. Instead, he directly called Qin Chang'an. It has been more than 20 years. Qin Chang'an sighed. He did not feel angry at all. Instead, he felt somewhat relieved. His daughter had complained about him for so long. Now it was time for the dust to settle. Gongsun was surprised. Then what about your plan? Qin Chang'an shook his head and said, plans can't keep up with changes. I reckon that they have already seen it. What else can I do? Am I supposed to stop her? If so, won't she hate me to death? Gongsun was also very helpless. Since it had come to this, there was really no other way. When he knew about this, Qin Ran had already arrived in Xiamen. Gongsun sighed and said, then should we call her? No need. She will call me. I will wait for her call, Qin Chang'an said thoughtfully. He was indeed very calm. Maybe it was because he knew Qin Ran well. Gongsun nodded silently and said no more. After a few thunder and lightning, the heavy rain came as expected. Raindrops as big as beans fell from the sky. Qin Chang'an, who had returned to the study, looked at the heavy rain outside the window. However, there was a smile at the corner of his mouth. The Qin family had not been popular for a long time. If Qin Ran and Qin Sheng both got married and had children, then the Qin family should be very lively. At that time, he could also enjoy his old age in peace. At the entrance of spring breeze in Xiamen, Qin Ran did not know how long she had been standing at the entrance. At this moment, her feelings were really complicated. She was excited, expectant, uneasy, and irritated. After all, it had been more than 20 years. She had been separated from her brother for more than 20 years. She had been thinking about it day and night, waiting for this day. Now, she was finally going to see him. How did she know? Because these few months, Qin Chang'an had gone to Xiamen too many times. Qin Ran felt that something was wrong. She called Qin Chang'an and asked him, but he always said that he was on a business trip. When she asked others, their answers were also messy. After all, she did not hear from the company's top management that there was any new investment in Xiamen. Moreover, the current business in Xiamen was not worth Qin Chang'an's presence. Therefore, Qin Ran found someone from her uncle to follow Qin Chang'an. After all, she knew that the people around Qin Chang'an were not ordinary people. Only her uncle could help. However, she did not tell her uncle what was going on. After investigating, she just found out the whole story. Every time Qin Chang'an went to Xiamen, it was not because of work or business trip. He just lived in a residential area called Pearl Bay Garden. Every day, he would go to a coffee shop called Spring Breeze on time and chat happily with the boss of the coffee shop. The boss of the coffee shop was called Qin Sheng. When Qin Ran knew this name, she had already guessed it. She was very shocked. When she saw the photos, Qin Ran was completely sure. They were so similar. They were totally carved from the same eyes. It was him. This was her brother. At that moment, Qin Ran cried and laughed while looking at the two photos in her hands. She really did not know how to express the excitement in her heart. This was her brother, her biological brother. She had been thinking about him for more than 20 years. She had thought about what he might look like. She had thought about it countless times. Now that she finally saw him grow up, she was even more narcissistic. My brother is handsome and spirited. After she calmed down, Qin Ran directly chose to go to Xiamen. She did not inform anyone, let alone call Qin Chang'an. It was because she could not wait anymore. She just wanted to see him in the next second. In Spring Breeze, there were not many customers at this time. Several waiters stared at Qin Ran, who was standing at the door, and whispered. After all, this beauty had been standing there for a few minutes. Several waiters were very excited. It was so late, but they could still see such a beauty. Her appearance and temperament did not belong to the lady boss at all. It was really a feast for their eyes. A waiter finally could not stand it anymore. He walked up slowly and shouted, "Beauty, what can I do for you?" This waiter was quite handsome. He was also a part-time worker during the summer vacation. He liked to flirt with girls on normal days. Now that he saw a beauty, he naturally rushed up to her with full confidence. Qin Ran came to her senses. She looked at the waiter in front of her and smiled gently. Without saying anything, she took a few deep breaths and walked in a Spring Breeze without hesitation. Qin Ran looked around and did not see her brother. She found a random seat thoughtfully and continued to look for her brother and his beautiful girlfriend. The waiter walked over quickly and asked, "Beauty, what would you like to drink?" Chin Ran ordered a cup of coffee casually and then asked straightforwardly, "Are your boss and lady boss here?" It was not until then that the waiter understood the reason why this beauty came to Spring Breeze. He smiled politely and said, "I am really sorry. You are late. Our boss and lady boss just went back. What can I do for you?" Upon hearing this, Chin Ran looked disappointed. Her mood fell straight down like an inflated balloon. She then asked, "Do you know your boss's phone number and where he lives?" Upon hearing this, the waiter naturally refused and said, "Well, I really can't tell you. If you want to see him, you can come again tomorrow." "When will your boss come?" Chin Ran did not ask further, for fear that the waiter would be disgusted or suspect her. The waiter said truthfully, "Our lady boss will come in the afternoon. Our boss comes later, usually around 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening. If he has something to do, he will not come." Chin Ran nodded thoughtfully and said, "Okay, I will come tomorrow." The waiter said happily, "How about we add each other on WeChat? When the boss comes tomorrow, I will inform you. Then you can come again." Chin Ran immediately recovered her cold temperament and snorted. No need. After that, Chin Ran strode out of Spring Breeze, leaving the waiter sighing behind her back. He had missed such a good opportunity. After leaving Spring Breeze, Chin Ran booked the nearest five-star hotel. The driver left after sending her there. After returning to the hotel and taking a shower, Chin Ran stood by the floor-to-ceiling window in a bathrobe, enjoying the sea view of Shaman. Galanjiu in the distance was still brightly lit at night. Although she had been a shaman several times, this time was indeed the most special. Chin Ran's mood had been completely calm. Since she had learned about her brother's news in the afternoon, she had been in an extremely excited state. Then she had experienced a roller coaster of ups and downs. In the end, she still did not see her brother. However, she was not so anxious anymore. After waiting for more than 20 years, one more day would not make a difference. She still had this kind of patience. Tomorrow, she would reconcile with her brother. She really wanted to know where he had been in the past 20 years and why he did not contact her. "As a sister, I miss you so much." More than that, she wanted to know whether her brother had been living well in the past 20 years and whether he had suffered a lot and suffered a lot. Chin Ran, who was standing by the window, thought about it. She laughed for a while and cried for a while. Her longing was different from the past because she would see her brother tomorrow. In the end, Chin Ran thought of Chin Chang'an. When she had learned about it this afternoon, she had been very angry. She really wanted to find Chin Chang'an and ask him why he did not tell her when he found her brother. "Do you know how much I miss him?" However, she was not in the mood at that time. She knew what was more important. Seeing her brother was the most important thing. At this moment, after calming down, Chin Ran thought of this matter. So she dialed Chin Chang'an's number without hesitation. After a while, the call was connected. After all, Chin Chang'an had been waiting for this call. Chapter 194. It was so familiar. The rainstorm in Beijing was getting heavier and heavier, showing no signs of stopping. It was estimated that many people would not be able to sleep tonight. However, Chin Chang'an was calmer and calmer. In the past half a year, he was a little tired because of Qin Sheng's affairs, and he was not as indifferent as before. He also hoped to reconcile with Qin Sheng as soon as possible. The best ending was that Qin Sheng would step into the Qin family peacefully and officially become a member of the Qin family. He would pass on everything to Qin Sheng and let him support the Qin family. He only needed to control the general direction. Based on his understanding of Qin Sheng in the past half a year, Qin Sheng was definitely not a playboy. He was smart, courageous, and had tricks. He just lacked a platform. As long as Qin Sheng went home, Chin Ran would definitely get married. More than one family in Sijio City was thinking about his daughter. At that time, he really had to think about it carefully. However, he would not force Chin Ran. He would let her make her own choice. She should find a good family. From then on, the Qin family would be officially on the right track, and he could really enjoy the rest of his life. The brother and sister could help and take care of each other. Plus the prestige of the Zhu family. There should be no big problem in the next few decades. However, the most important thing was that the process of reconciling with Qin Sheng was really a bit torturous. Qin Chang'an also wanted to hurry up, but he had to ask himself not to be anxious. Today, knowing that Qin Ran went to Shaman, Qin Chang'an thought about it carefully. Maybe he was thinking too much. It might not be a bad thing to let Qin Ran reconcile with Qin Sheng first. Qin Chang'an had been waiting for a call. Finally, the call came. When the phone rang, his intuition told him that it must be Qin Ran. "Don't you know it already?" Qin Chang'an said with a smile. No matter how strong he was to others, he always treated his daughter with a smile. Qin Ran was still angry. She did not intend to let her father go. She snorted and said, "If I don't know, are you going to hide it from me and not tell me? I am his father, and you are his sister. What reason do I have to not let you meet each other? Over the past 20 years, how can I not know how much you miss him?" He did not want Qin Ran to misunderstand him. Others could misunderstand him, but not his daughter. Qin Ran calmed down after hearing a few simple sentences. She also felt that her father had no reason to stop her from reuniting with her brother. There must be some other reasons. So she asked gently, "Dad, what on earth are you thinking?" When Qin Ran called him Dad, it meant that she understood Qin Chang'an. She wanted to sit down and talk to Qin Chang'an properly. Qin Chang'an was very pleased. After all, she was his daughter. You don't know what kind of person he is at all. Do you think that he will be able to accept it in a short time if we acknowledge each other so suddenly? Based on my understanding of him during this period of time, he will be very resistant to it. Even if we acknowledge each other, it will be hard for us to get along well in a short time. Hence, I have chosen this method. I will get to know him slowly and build a relationship with him first. Only then will it be smoother, Qin Chang'an said slowly. He did not know whether Qin Ran could understand him or not. He did not know whether Qin Ran could understand him or not. After hearing this, Qin Ran fell into deep thought. She did not refute. She felt that her father was right. She did not think so deeply. However, Qin Ran said, "How long will it take? Dad, I really miss him so much." "It won't take long. Don't worry," Qin Chang'an said confidently. Qin Ran hugged herself tightly and said meaningfully, "Dad, can I see him? I want to see him, so I can see him. You are his sister. This is your right." Qin Chang'an nodded and said. Qin Ran said with red eyes, "I'm afraid that I can't help it." "If you really can't help it, then don't. I won't blame you no matter what you do." Qin Chang'an comforted her. He had experienced too many storms and was used to all kinds of things. His heart had long been unmoved. However, Qin Ran was different. She was just an ordinary woman. How could she be like him? Qin Ran wiped away her tears. She believed that her father also wanted to reunite with her brother, but it was not the right time yet. They had waited for so many years, so they did not care about the delay. Moreover, they had found him, which was more important than anything. At least they would not be dreaming and waiting in vain. Qin Ran asked in a low voice, "Dad, can I see him at any time?" Qin Chang'an chuckled and said, "Dad said that you are his sister. Whatever you do is right." Qin Ran let out a long breath. Well, since her father was gradually getting to know him and building a relationship with him slowly, she could also do the same. In this way, everything would be smoother. Even if he found out, she believed that he would understand. Well, she would do it this way. At this point, Qin Ran understood Qin Chang'an. She also made up her mind and made up her mind. "Dad, when did you find him?" Everything had been made clear. Today, she had found her brother. At this moment, Qin Ran was in a very good mood. She wanted to have a good chat with her father. After all, she had completely let go of her resentment towards her father today. Qin Chang'an thought for a while and said, "In the first half of last year." Qin Ran teased him with a smile. "I knew it last year. You old fox, you had so deeply. If you did not go to shaman frequently during this period, I really would not know." Qin Chang'an smiled bitterly and said, "100 secrets, 100 secrets, 100 secrets, 100 secrets, 100 secrets, 100 secrets. Didn't you little fox find out? Tell me, how did you know?" "I asked my uncle to send someone to follow you. That's how I found out," Qin Ran said with a charming smile. She did not hide anything. Qin Chang'an frowned slightly as he said, "Oh, your uncle is a big shot. But does he know? Qin Ran turned around and took a bottle of water as she said, I don't know yet. I've already told that man not to tell my uncle. But I think if my uncle orders it forcibly, he won't be able to keep his secret. At that time, the whole Zhu family will know. So it depends on whether we can reconcile with each other as soon as possible. Qin Chang'an said disapprovingly, forget it. Let them know it. It's just a matter of time. Yes, Grandma is almost 90 years old. She often told me that her biggest wish for the rest of her life is to see my brother again. You know, she loved my brother the most when he was a child. This has been her worry for so many years. Otherwise, she wouldn't blame you so much and refuse to see you. Thinking of her grandmother, Qin Ran felt sorry for her. The old woman's health was getting worse year by year. She didn't know how long she could hold on. This was indeed a test for Qin Chang'an. If the Zhu family really knew it, they would definitely reconcile with each other directly. After all, the old lady's days were numbered. They couldn't afford to wait. Qin Chang'an did not say anything. Qin Ran continued to ask, Dad, how has my brother been these years? Is he good? Good and bad. Qin Chang'an said thoughtfully, I'll send you an email later. You can read it at that time. I won't talk about it. Okay. Qin Ran nodded quickly. She was looking forward to it. She really wanted to know more about her brother. If she knew his past, she would be able to get along with him better. In the Pearl Bay Garden, Qin Sheng did not know that he had brushed shoulders with his biological sister again. But this time, it was different from the last time. Last time, they did not know each other's identity. This time, Qin Ran already knew everything. Lin Su was watching TV in the living room. Qin Sheng was reading in the study absent-mindedly. He could not calm down. In the end, he gave up completely. He opened the window and stood by the bed, enjoying the sea breeze. His body had completely recovered. He was thinking about the next choice. He seemed to have made a choice in his heart. However, everything had to start from the beginning. Everything would be unknown. Facing this unknown, Qin Sheng felt very helpless. At the same time, he had to think about Lin Su. He was not a selfish person, and he could not be selfish. After a while, Lin Su pushed the door open and came in after watching TV. Seeing Qin Sheng's troubled look, she walked over slowly and hugged his waist from behind. She stuck close to his back and said softly, What are you thinking about? I've thought about it. We'll leave Shaman in a few days, Qin Sheng said directly. Lin Su was not surprised at all. She said softly, Okay, where are we going? Hangzhou. Qin Sheng gave his answer. This was the best choice. It was also the choice he had made after thinking about it carefully. Why did he choose Hangzhou? First of all, Zhuangzhou had told him that he was the most powerful in Zhujiang. If he went to Zhujiang, he had the ability to protect himself from the Yin family's threat, let alone the Lin family's harassment. Secondly, Qin Sheng remembered that Jiang Xianbang had said that the Xue family was more influential in Zhujiang. Xue Qingyin's relationship network in Hangzhou was more complicated. If he went to Hangzhou, Xue Qingyin could also help him. This was another layer of insurance. Then I'll start preparing tomorrow. I'll take over the coffee shop in a few days, Lin Su said lightly. Qin Sheng turned around and hugged Lin Su. You're going to suffer with me again. You might also have to face those people and things in the past. Are you afraid? Lin Su smiled and shook her head. I'm afraid of nothing when you're here. Qin Sheng kissed Lin Su's forehead and said, Don't worry. I'll work harder and make you the happiest woman in the world. Lin Su hugged Qin Sheng tightly. She did not want anything. She just hoped that Qin Sheng would be safe. As long as Qin Sheng was by her side, everything else was just worldly possessions. She wanted to say that she did not want him to be too tired, but she held back in the end. Go take a shower first. I'll make a call. Qin Sheng patted Lin Su's back gently. Lin Su left sensibly. She knew that Qin Sheng would not choose to disappear anymore and was ready to contact his old friends. Qin Sheng's first call was directly to Xue Qingyin in Shanghai. It was late at night. It was already past 10 o'clock. Xue Qingyin had just attended a banquet. She was quite tired recently. Her work had been slow, and she had a lot of social engagements. After all, she had a brother. Since Qin Sheng was injured and disappeared, Xue Qingyin was not in a good mood. She directly withdrew her membership in Shangshan, Ruoshui. She did not avoid saying that she was disappointed in Shangshan Ruoshui and the Yi family. Following that, many members followed Xue Qingyan to withdraw from Shangshan Ruoshui, including 2 VVIP members. Shangshan Ruoshui's business plummeted instantly. Bossy still did not know what was going on. After asking Xue Qingyan out for a few times, Xue Qingyan refused him mercilessly and did not say the reason. Bossy was a big shot after all. In the end, he just let it go. On the way back to Green City Huangpu Bay, the driver drove very steadily. Xue Qingyan closed her eyes to rest. After the phone rang a few times, she came to her senses and found that it was an unfamiliar phone number in Xiamen. Xue Qingyan frowned slightly. She did not know who was calling. After all, this was her private number, not her work number. Those who knew it were only her acquaintances and friends. She subconsciously answered the phone and heard a voice coming from the other side of the phone. "Sister, are you asleep?" Chapter 195. Why was she crying? For most people, they could live on without anyone. Qin Sheng's departure could not change Xue Qingyan's life. Over the years, many people had passed by her like shooting stars. She had long been used to this rhythm. However, Qin Sheng had a different weight and feeling in her heart. She admired this young man's way of doing things. Therefore, Xue Qingyan asked Qin Sheng to call her sister. Therefore, after Qin Sheng had an accident, Xue Qingyan used her family's power to take revenge for him. Perhaps it was fate. Unlike others, she did not think that Qin Sheng was dead. Instead, she firmly believed that Qin Sheng was still alive. Sooner or later, he would appear in front of her unscathed. Now, her feeling was right. Qin Sheng, Xue Qingyan, who was a little tired, woke up instantly. She did not expect to have such a surprise on such an ordinary night. She asked in a trembling voice. Although they had been separated for more than half a year, Qin Sheng did not feel strange. He teased her in a familiar way. "Haha, I thought you had forgotten me. But I promise, I am a human, not a ghost." "What are you talking about? How could I forget you? You saved me several times. I always believe that you are still alive." "You must be alive," Xue Qingyan said firmly. Qin Sheng said happily, "Of course. Your brother is very lucky. My grandfather has calculated that I can live to 92 years old. This is less than 1/3 of it. I still have a long way to go." "You're really shameless. Tell me, where are you?" Xue Qingyan asked eagerly. Qin Sheng said slowly, "I will be in Xiamen during this period." "Okay, I will book the earliest flight to Xiamen tomorrow," Xue Qingyan said without hesitation. She missed Qin Sheng more or less. She did not know how he was now. "Sister, don't be so anxious. I will go to Hangzhou in 2 days. We will meet there. I will stay in Hangzhou in the future." "Sister, please take care of me," Qin Sheng said with a smile. Although Qin Sheng said it with a smile, Xue Qingyan seemed to understand the meaning. She frowned and said, "Are you sure that you will stay in Hangzhou and not go back to Shanghai?" "Not for a short time. After all, I am not that powerful. It is safer to stay in Hangzhou," Qin Sheng said thoughtfully. Xue Qingyan nodded silently and said, "Okay, I'll wait for you in Hangzhou." When she was about to hang up the phone, Xue Qingyan suddenly remembered and quickly asked, "By the way, is Lin Su with you?" "We've always been together," Qin Sheng said calmly. After hanging up the phone, Xue Qingyan's mood instantly bloomed. This guy finally appeared. She knew the reason why Qin Sheng called her, but she did not dislike it. The Xue family was willing to cultivate such a young man. After giving Xue Qingyan a call, Qin Sheng did not harass the others anymore. He reckoned that all of them would be like Xue Qingyan, who would rush to Xiamen the next day. He would contact all of them when he went to Hangzhou. After the call, Qin Sheng returned to the bedroom. Lin Su had already taken a shower. Qin Sheng, who was in a good mood, directly picked up Lin Su, who was drying her hair, which gave Lin Su a shock. "What are you doing? Why are you so happy?" Lin Su put her arms around his neck and said, blushing. Qin Sheng gently kissed Lin Su's sexy lips and smiled. "Your husband has rested for so long. Finally, I can start working hard again. I can earn money for my wife's bag and for my son's milk powder." Who's your wife? Lin Su asked shyly. Qin Sheng said firmly. Let's get married when we go back to Hangzhou. What do you think? Hearing this, Lin Su's heart was as sweet as honey, but she still said, then you have to go to Ningbo and steal our household register first. Qin Sheng did not suffer a blow because of this sentence. He directly turned around and put Lin Su on the bed. He said with a wretched look, then let's not be husband and wife. We just want to be husband and wife. What do you think? After saying this, Qin Sheng pressed on Lin Su's body and seized Lin Su's lips at lightning speed. During this period, Qin Sheng had long been familiar with Lin Su's body. Except for the last level, he had enjoyed all the other things that he could enjoy. God knew how many men would be envious of him. Lin Su's figure and skin made Qin Sheng unable to stop. Every time, he was burning with lust. In the end, he had no choice but to run to take a cold shower. Now Qin Sheng's body was finally well. They had an agreement before. Therefore, these 2 nights, Qin Sheng had already begun to be unable to control himself. From fast to slow, this was the rhythm that Qin Sheng was used to. Lin Su refused at the beginning, but gradually enjoyed it. In the end, they cooperated with each other. Qin Sheng's hand gently stroked Lin Su's slender and beautiful legs. This pair of fair and long legs could be played with for years for many men. Lin Su had some difficulty breathing. She felt Qin Sheng's hand had already climbed up to her soft breasts. Lin Su was a little worried about some things and also a little expectant, but she still wanted to discuss things with Qin Sheng, so she quickly pushed him away and said, all right, stop it. As long as Lin Su slightly disagreed, Qin Sheng would not offend her. This was Qin Sheng's bottom line. Therefore, Qin Sheng let go of Lin Su contentedly and lay down beside her. He sighed and said, comfortable. Lin Su tidied up her clothes and said coquettishly, hooligan. Qin Sheng held his head and lay on the bed. He looked like a rich playboy, as if he had just taken a young married woman as a concubine. After Lin Su calmed down, she lay on Qin Sheng's chest and said, did you call Uncle Zhuang? Qin Sheng shook his head and said, no, I called Sister Shui. The Shui family is very powerful in Hangzhou. I don't want to rely on the Shui family. I just want to have one more layer of protection if the Yin family and the Lin family do not let me go. Have you thought about how to face them? Lin Su asked softly. Qin Sheng was not as arrogant and unwilling to admit defeat as he was in the past. He was more tolerant and said lightly, to be honest, I really don't. But Hangzhou is after all not like Shanghai. The Yin family does not have that much power. We just have to be careful this time. I will tell Uncle Zhuang tomorrow. You transfer Spring Breeze as soon as possible. We will leave Xiamen within this week. Well, this is not difficult. Someone has looked for me before. I will contact them tomorrow, Lin Su said softly. Qin Sheng touched Lin Su's hair and said, sleep. After staying in Xiamen for so long, Qin Sheng and Lin Su had made a lot of friends. Although they could not confide in each other, they had more or less helped them, such as Annie Tang and the others, the doctors and nurses in the rehabilitation center, and some teachers and classmates in Xiamen University. If Qin Sheng had not been injured, he would not have come to Xiamen. Therefore, when flowers bloom, there will be fruit. Nothing can be said for sure. The next day, when Lin Su went out to work, Qin Sheng called Zhuang Zhou. Zhuang Zhou had not been to Xiamen for some time. After all, there had been people secretly protecting Qin Sheng. There would definitely not be any accidents. Uncle Zhuang, after discussing with Lin Su, I have decided to develop in Hangzhou in the future, Qin Sheng said very seriously. Zhuang Zhou said thoughtfully, Jiangsu, Zhejiang, Shanghai, Jiangsu, Zhejiang, Shanghai, Hangzhou is a good choice. Have you thought about what you want to do? I can help you arrange it. Starting over, Qin Sheng had nothing to choose. He put himself very low and said casually, as long as there is a job. Of course, Zhuang Zhou did not have the right to decide what Qin Sheng wanted to do. He could only make a decision after discussing with Qin Chang'an. He said thoughtfully, then let me think about it. I will call you later. After Zhuang Zhou hung up the phone, he immediately called Qin Chang'an. Qin Chang'an had long known that Qin Sheng would do this sooner or later. After all, he had a restless heart. Going to Hangzhou this time was definitely not like Qin Sheng going to Shanghai. Qin Chang'an's arrangement was to wait for Qin Sheng to go back to the Qin family to take over. Therefore, he had to be careful. As for Qin Ran, after waking up, she took a walk by the beach alone. After returning to the hotel and having breakfast, she started to work, such as holding video conferences and dealing with documents. She was not that kind of vase. She graduated from the Department of Economics and Management of Tsinghua University and had a double bachelor's degree. When she was studying abroad at Harvard, she got an MBA and a double master's degree in law. The real female top student spent all her time on study. After graduation, she directly entered a company under Qin Chang'an and became the president of a branch company from the bottom level. She was a real strong woman. Otherwise, she would not have attracted so many young talents. Qin Ran could completely calm down when she was working and put her heart and soul into it. However, halfway through, she still asked the driver to go to Spring Breeze to see if Qin Sheng and Lin Su were there. To her disappointment, she did not see them. After finishing her work in the evening and having dinner, Qin Ran could not wait to go to Spring Breeze. Yesterday, she went to Xiamen without taking anything. Today, she specially went to the mall to buy a set of clothes and cosmetics. Before coming out, she dressed up carefully. She hoped that she could see her brother in her best state. The waiters had seen Qin Ran last night. It did not occur to them that she would really come tonight. They did not know what was the relationship between her and the boss and the lady boss. However, they still ran over happily. Qin Ran ordered a cup of coffee and drank a plate of fruits. After asking the waiters, she confirmed that Qin Sheng and Lin Su had not come yet. However, they would come soon. At this moment, they should be taking a walk by the beach and would come over later. As time passed, Qin Ran just sat there and waited. It was completely dark outside. The light in the room made people unable to see the situation outside clearly. Just after 7:30 p.m., Lin Su held Qin Sheng's arm. The two of them appeared in Spring Breeze on time, talking and laughing. Qin Sheng, who had completely recovered, was in a good mood. His face was filled with a happy smile. At this moment, Qin Ran, who had been telling herself not to cry when she saw her brother, could not help crying. Instantly, her tears fell like rain. Her exquisite makeup was also ruined. Qin Ran just looked at her brother from afar, covering her mouth and crying bitterly. It seemed that except for the time when her mother passed away, she had never cried so sadly in her life. Yes, after all, she had missed and been wrong for more than 20 years. The waiters had been staring at Qin Ran. At this moment, they looked confused. They did not know what had happened. Why was this beauty crying so sadly? Could it be that this was the love debt that the boss owed in the past? Tut tut, the lady boss was also here today. This scene would be lively. The waiters hurried to the front of Qin Sheng and whispered in his ear. Qin Sheng looked at Qin Ran subconsciously and frowned slightly. It seemed that he did not know her. Chapter 196. Goodbye, goodbye. Second update. She had nowhere to vent her sorrow, and her longing turned into tears. More than 20 years of yearning finally turned into 2 lines of tears. No one in the cafe could understand Qin Ran at this moment. She had forgotten about everyone else. There was only Qin Sheng, her biological brother, in her eyes. How many people could understand this kind of unforgettable pain after being separated from her family for more than 20 years? Now, this thing that had tormented her for more than 20 years was finally over. Her tears were no longer pain and suffering, but happiness and happiness. Qin Sheng was indeed a little puzzled. The staff in the cafe told him that this woman came to look for him last night and came again today. However, Qin Sheng did not know this woman at all. Then why did this woman cry so sadly after seeing him? Could it be that he remembered wrongly? Qin Sheng began to rack his brains to think. Slowly, he had a vague memory. He seemed to have seen this woman somewhere before, but they were definitely not friends. Qin Sheng waved his hand and asked the waiter to go ahead. Then, he lowered his head and whispered in Lin Su's ear, "You go upstairs first. I'll look for you later." Lin Su nodded silently. She trusted Qin Sheng very much. However, Lin Su knew the woman who was sitting in the corner not far away. She was distressed because she had a very deep impression of this woman. She remembered that when they were in Shanghai last year, their charity bursary foundation held a charity auction party. At that time, this woman appeared in the middle of the auction. It could be said that she had surpassed most of the women present in all aspects. In the end, she even bid for a painting for 8 million. However, Lin Su did not say all these. She was still not sure what the relationship between this woman and Qin Sheng was. Qin Sheng's face was calm. He slowly walked towards the woman who was crying distressingly and passed the tissue to her. After the woman took the tissue, Qin Sheng then sat opposite her. Just now, Qin Sheng was standing quite far away, so he did not see very clearly. After he got closer and looked at the woman carefully, Qin Sheng's impression of her gradually became clearer. It seemed that he had met her once in Yuerong Manor Hotel. It had to be said that Qin Sheng's memory was really good. Perhaps it was because there were not many men who could not remember such a great beauty like Qin Ran. At this time, Qin Sheng looked at the woman in front of him carefully. She had slightly curly, long, wavy hair, big eyes with tears but full of spirit, a high nose and a full forehead, diamond-studded earlobes, and Bulgari's classic malachite necklace, and a silk sleeveless slimming chiffon dress, which was very tasteful. He could not tell the brand, but it was definitely a big brand. When he saw the Patek Philippe watch on her wrist, Qin Sheng was stunned. It was a Patek Philippe's 175th anniversary limited edition women's watch worth millions of dollars. Where did this woman come from? Thank you, Qin Ran said as she took the tissue. It reminded her of when she was young, when she secretly cried. It was also her younger brother who gave her tissue. No matter who the woman was, Qin Sheng had to figure out what was going on. He said calmly, "Do we know each other?" "I don't know whether I know him or not," Qin Ran said in a trembling voice. This was the first time she talked to her brother after so many years. Her voice was no longer that tender and childish. She had become a man who could support both heaven and earth. Qin Sheng was more confused and asked again, "Then why are you crying?" "Because I thought of something sad." Qin Ran wiped her tears and returned to normal. She stared at Qin Sheng affectionately and said, the look in her eyes was very sincere and gentle, even more tender than the way Lin Su looked at Qin Sheng. If outsiders saw it, they would definitely feel that this woman loved this man deeply. Yes, it was just that their love was not boyfriend love, but blood was thicker than water. This kind of love was deeper. Qin Ran's eyes made Qin Sheng very uncomfortable. If he did not understand what it meant, he would be a little silly. He quickly avoided it and coughed awkwardly. "I remember that we seem to have met, but I'm not very sure." "Yes, how can I not have met you?" Qin Ran said subconsciously. She thought in her heart, "You are my brother. How can I not have met you?" "Well, it seems that you also remember that last year in Shanghai Yuerong Manor, we met by chance at the elevator of the underground parking lot, right?" Qin Sheng said slowly. Qin Ran was a little surprised. She did not expect that there would be such an intersection, but she had long forgotten it. She could only casually say, "Well, it seems so. I heard from the waiter that you came to Spring Breeze to find me. But we don't know each other," Qin Sheng said helplessly. He did not want Lin Su to think too much. At this moment, Qin Ran was very hesitant. She was thinking about whether to tell the truth or not. She did not care about anything else. She wanted to tell him that he was her long-lost brother and she was his sister. However, thinking of Qin Chang'an's words, Qin Ran finally made up her mind and said, "Because you look like a friend I have loved for many years, so I came to find you." "I see." Qin Sheng was suddenly enlightened. Finally, he understood that this explanation was very reasonable. When Qin Ran said this, she was struggling in her heart. They met each other, but could not recognize each other. Only she knew this feeling, but she also knew that they would be able to recognize each other soon. Moreover, she could see him often in the future. Can he be friends? Maybe when I see you, I will not think of him anymore. Qin Ran took the initiative and said she was afraid that Qin Sheng would not agree. Qin Sheng hesitated. "I have a girlfriend." "I know. She is very beautiful, and you love her very much." Don't worry. I just want to be an ordinary friend with you. I also hope to be friends with her. Qin Ran said honestly. She almost laughed out loud. This guy was quite narcissistic. Qin Sheng thought for a while and said, well, okay. After all, it was a request from a beautiful woman. It would be more or less cruel if he did not agree. Maybe he really looked like a friend or a lover she had lost. Qin Ran stood up slowly and said, thank you. See you next time. She finally saw him. She had achieved what she wanted and wanted to do. Qin Ran could not stay here anymore. She was afraid that she could not hold on and would tell the truth. So she could only leave here. Qin Sheng nodded with a smile. He did not see her off. After she disappeared in spring breeze completely, Qin Sheng shook his head and smiled bitterly. Strange woman. After Qin Ran walked out of spring breeze, she stopped subconsciously. She looked up at the starry sky and smiled gently. Mom, I found my brother. You can rest assured. There was a bright moon on the sea. A shooting star flew across the sky quietly. The sea breeze was gentle, and the sea waves were sound. Since he came a shaman and opened his coffee shop, Qin Sheng could always meet strange people. He was already used to it. Qin Sheng shrugged and was ready to go upstairs to find a wife. No matter how beautiful a woman was, she was not as beautiful as his wife. His wife was the most important thing in the world. However, when he just took 2 steps, Du Fei, who had been hiding behind the bar counter, ran out. She snorted and said, Tut, tut, tut. I really don't know how many beautiful women you have cheated in the past. Little girl, what do you know? Go do your thing. I don't even know her. Qin Sheng rolled his eyes at Du Fei and did not bother to respond. Du Fei pouted and said, I was right. You still don't admit it. I will complain to Sister Lin later. You will go home and kneel on the washboard. Qin Sheng reached out and flicked Du Fei's head. He scolded her with a smile and went upstairs to find Lin Su. On the 2nd floor, Lin Su was holding a notebook and making an offer for the coffee shop. She would send it to the buyers who contacted her tomorrow. At that time, she would choose the most suitable one. After Qin Sheng came up, Lin Su stared at Qin Sheng with a playful smile and waited for his explanation. Qin Sheng did not dare to hide anything. He told her what had happened just now. Lin Su was very confused and said, You don't know her. How did she find this place? How would I know? Qin Sheng said with a smile. Lin Su said subconsciously, but I have seen her before. It was at a charity auction dinner last year. At that time, she was a more dazzling beauty. The people around her were all famous playboys in the bund. Qin Sheng looked at Lin Su in surprise. He did not expect that Lin Su actually knew this woman. He asked immediately, Do you know her name? I don't know. Lin Su shook her head and said, When I go back to Hangzhou, I can ask my friends to find out. Qin Sheng thought about it and did not say anything. Tonight, when the coffee shop was about to close, Qin Sheng and Lin Su did not intend to leave. Lin Su had already informed everyone to go upstairs for a meeting after they finished their work. Everyone was very surprised and confused. It seemed that this was the first time that they had a meeting at night. When the coffee shop closed at 10 o'clock, everyone gathered on the 2nd floor of the coffee shop. Facing everyone, Qin Sheng and Lin Su had mixed feelings. Although they were reluctant to part, they still had to say something. I have to tell you a piece of news. We are going to leave Shaman. In 2 days, Spring Breeze will welcome a new boss. Lin Su clasped her hands, looked around at everyone, and said with a smile. As soon as what she said was out, everyone's expression changed instantly. Then they exploded and asked all kinds of questions, such as why. Thank you for your hard work and help in the past 4 months. Even if we leave Shaman, we will remember this unforgettable time. I hope you can continue to work hard in the future. No matter in study or work, you can embrace a better tomorrow in the best state. Lin Su continued. She had been used to getting along with these children and employees day and night. She was somewhat reluctant to part with them. However, all good things must come to an end. Everyone's journey was also different. Qin Sheng said in a deep voice, I know you are all very surprised and can't accept it for a while. But this is the truth. We are just passers-by in Shaman. We have to leave eventually, but we are still friends. You are welcome to visit Hangzhou in the future. Finally, thank you again for your support and help for me and Lin Su in the past 4 months. Thank you. Qin Sheng bowed slightly. Everyone was still reluctant to part with them. Some of their eyes were already red. Qin Sheng and Lin Su began to comfort them. In the end, they had to accept this fact. Half an hour later, everyone left. Only Qin Sheng, Lin Su, and Du Fei were left. Du Fei said with red eyes, "Brother Qin, Sister Lin, are you really going to leave?" "Yes, we will leave after dealing with the trivial things in these days." Lin Su patted Du Fei's shoulder and said, "Don't cry. We can come back in the future. You can also take Aunt Tang and Du Feng to Hangzhou to play." "I know. I just can't bear to leave you," Du Fei said, holding Lin Su in her arms. Qin Sheng shook his head and smiled bitterly. Silly girl. In the following 3 days, Lin Su and Qin Sheng's lives were a little busy. Spring Breeze was transferred to a literary and artistic young woman. Her temperament was very suitable for a place like Spring Breeze. Although the price was not the highest, Lin Su and Qin Sheng got along well. In the rest of the time, they met with friends. They had their last meal at Aunt Tang's house. Aunt Tang made a table full of dishes, which made Qin Sheng and Lin Su feel very touched. They had sent some necessities to Hangzhou in advance. As for the things that were not needed but could be used, they had given them to Aunt Tang. The next morning, Qin Sheng and Lin Su dragged their suitcases and took the flight from Xiamen to Hangzhou. On the plane, they waved at Xiamen gently. Chapter 197. A new home, new month. Looking for monthly tickets. Where's the guaranteed monthly ticket? Qin Sheng and Lin Su finally left Xiamen and ended the quiet period of recuperation. A new life was about to begin, and unknown challenges were waiting for them. However, compared to the past, with the protection of the Qin family, Qin Sheng's journey would not be very difficult. Before Qin Sheng and Lin Su went to Hangzhou, Qin Ran had already returned to Beijing. Although she and her brother did not recognize each other, she was already very satisfied. After all, the knot in her heart for more than 20 years was finally untied. In the future, as long as she missed her brother, she could directly go to see him. Qin Chang'an gave Qin Ran a set of information about Qin Sheng. However, it was all ordinary information, which was Qin Sheng's basic life trajectory. There were not too many detailed events, such as the previous period. That was because Qin Chang'an knew that if Qin Ran knew that Qin Sheng had suffered such a serious injury and almost died on Mount Jihua, given her temper, she would definitely reconcile with Qin Sheng without any hesitation. She would like to see who would dare to bully her brother in the future. The first thing Qin Ran did when she returned to Sijio City was to take the initiative to call Qin Chang'an, saying that she wanted to eat the food cooked by Qin Chang'an. Hearing this, Qin Chang'an directly postponed the meeting with several leaders of the Banking Regulatory Commission at noon. Only he had the courage to do this. Then, he went to the vegetable market with Gong Sun and bought a lot of Qin Ran's favorite dishes. When Qin Ran arrived at the Sihiyuan, Qin Chang'an had already made a table full of sumptuous lunch. The chef was just an assistant. He did everything by himself. Only Qin Ran had this kind of treatment. After seeing Qin Chang'an, Qin Ran directly hugged him and said pitifully, "Dad." The years of grievances and conflicts between the father and daughter had disappeared at this moment. Qin Ran did not need to complain about her father anymore. After all, she had found her brother. This home was finally a home. Only the father and daughter sat at the table. Qin Ran said that she wanted to drink with her father. Qin Chang'an directly took out a bottle of 50-year-old Maodai. In the past, he could not bear to drink unless it was a very important occasion. He was really in a good mood today. The father and daughter chatted while eating and drinking. Qin Chang'an was looking forward to the day when the family would reunite. At noon, Qin Sheng and Lin Su arrived in Hangzhou. Shuo Qingyan had been waiting for them at Shaoshan Airport for a long time. Yesterday, she had rushed to Hangzhou from Shanghai. She wanted to see Qin Sheng and Lin Su as soon as possible to be the host. Dressed in a black sleeveless vest, a gray skirt, big sunglasses, and a black bag, Shuo Qingyan was the most beautiful sight at the exit. She looked expectant and kept looking inside, looking for a familiar figure. A few minutes later, Xue Yin finally saw the golden couple. Qin Sheng was pulling the suitcase, while Lin Su was holding his arm. The two of them walked out unhurriedly. Xue Yin took off her sunglasses and instantly smiled. The attention of the men around her was attracted by her. Finally, they saw the beauty's face clearly. Her face was a little too beautiful. Qin Sheng and Lin Su had also seen Xue Yin, who still had that noble and elegant temperament. They quickened their pace, and Xue Yin also walked towards the exit. When they were face to face, Xue Yin gave Qin Sheng a big hug, not caring about Lin Su, who was next to her. She was even more reluctant to part with him. Lin Su smiled and was not angry at all. She was very pleased that Qin Sheng had such a sister. At this moment, everyone was envious of Qin Sheng. Originally, when Qin Sheng and Lin Su came out, everyone noticed Lin Su, who was a great beauty who was not inferior to Xue Yin. They could not help but sigh that there were so many beautiful women in Hangzhou. Unfortunately, the beauty was already taken. They could only sigh. They did not expect that the beauty outside was also waiting for this man. At this moment, Qin Sheng was sitting with a beauty. It could be said that it was a blessing to have two wives. He was a winner in life. I finally see you. Xue Yin hugged Qin Sheng tightly and sighed. Qin Sheng gently patted Xue Yin's shoulder and smiled. Sister, don't worry. I will not disappear again. In the future in Hangzhou, I will see who dares to bully you. I will support you. Xue Yin, who was in her 30s, said righteously like a child. Okay, Qin Sheng quickly promised. After that, Xue Yin let go of Qin Sheng and looked at Lin Su next to her. She gave Lin Su another hug and said, without you taking care of this guy, I guess he would not have recovered so quickly. You have worked hard, Lin Su. Sister Xue, this is what I should do. Lin Su said softly. Hugging Qin Sheng was really emotional. Hugging Lin Su was just a courtesy hug. So after a light hug, Xue Yin let go and smiled. Let's go. I will take you to dinner first. We will have a good talk later. The driver was waiting outside. After leaving the airport, Xue Yin took Qin Sheng and Lin Su to the 1921 restaurant by the West Lake. She had already made a reservation for Qin Sheng and Lin Su. On the way, because it was a driver, they did not talk about anything in depth. Xue Yin asked, do they know that you are back? I haven't told them yet. When I have settled down, I will inform them. Qin Sheng said with a smile. I don't know how they have been in the past 6 months. After all, she had more contact with Han Bing later. She replied, Chong Baji resigned. He went on a sightseeing trip for the past 6 months. Many people who followed you in Shangshan Ruoshui have also resigned. Han Bing and Hao Lei are still in Shanghai. Xue Yin knew about this. Alas, I have made everyone worried. Qin Sheng sighed. Xue Yin shook her head and said, it is all in the past. The 1921 restaurant by the West Lake was an old restaurant. It served authentic Hangzhou cuisine. The last time Qin Sheng came to Hangzhou, Xue Yin also took him here. Lin Su was not a stranger to this place. Although people in Ningbo like to go to Shanghai, Lin Su also had many friends in Hangzhou. She used to come to Hangzhou often and had dinner in 1921 several times. Although there were only 3 people, because they wanted to talk about something, Xue Yin booked a private room. She knew the boss here and was also a regular here. Naturally, she would give him face. When the wine and dishes were all served, Xue Yin took the initiative to raise her glass and said, this glass of wine, first of all, to welcome you to Hangzhou. I also hope that you will get better and better in Hangzhou. Second, to say goodbye to the past, forget everything and start again. Thank you, sister, Qin Sheng said sincerely. Lin Su raised her glass and smiled. After drinking a glass of wine, the 3 people chatted while eating. Xue Yin asked again, have you completely recovered? More than half a year, it should be. This time, I really escaped from death. I almost couldn't see you again. Qin Sheng sighed and drank a mouthful of wine. It also made me understand a lot of things. Still want to take revenge, Xue Yin said thoughtfully. Although I'm not a gentleman, I also know that it's impossible for me to challenge the Yin clan with my current ability, unless I perish together with Yin Chaozong. However, I won't do such a foolish thing. It's better to live than to die. Living is the best thing. Qin Sheng replied honestly, Of course I'll take revenge, but not now. It's better to live than to die. Shui Qingyan said with relief, I am afraid that you will do stupid things. It is good that you have this awareness. But this is Hangzhou, not Shanghai. Don't worry, they will not dare to do anything. Moreover, I am here. I know. Thank you, sister. Qin Sheng thanked her again. Shui Qingyan turned to look at Lin Su and said, Lin Su, I don't know where this guy got the luck to find a girlfriend like you. He made you suffer a lot. If he does not treat you well in the future, I will not let him go. I also know that you have broken up with your family. So from now on, you should treat Hangzhou as your home and treat me as your family. No matter what happens, you can tell me. Hearing this, Lin Su quickly raised her glass and said, Sister, I don't know what to say. This glass of wine is for you. All the words are in the wine. Okay, Shui Qingyan said with a smile. After they clinked glasses, Shui Qingyan said seriously, Have you thought about your future plans? What do you need me to do? You can tell me. We are a family. I have already arranged a place for you to live. It is my house in Hangzhou. No one has been living in it. It is by the West Lake. Qin Sheng knew that Shui Qingyan was good to him, but Uncle Zhuang had already arranged a place to live. So he said politely, Sister, we have already found a place to live. We really don't need to trouble you. Oh, you have already found a place? Shui Qingyan was a little surprised. Then she asked, What about the job? Work. A friend is helping me. It has not been confirmed yet. He will arrive in Hangzhou tomorrow. If it is not satisfactory, I will ask you for help, Qin Sheng said slowly. Originally, he wanted Shui Qingyan to solve Lin Su's job, but Uncle Zhuang had already taken the initiative to arrange it. As for the specific job, Uncle Zhuang would know when he arrived in Hangzhou tomorrow. Shui Qingyan laughed and said, It seems that you are prepared. Then I will not worry about it. After lunch, Shui Qingyan sent Qin Sheng and Lin Su to their new home. They did not choose the more prosperous and lively Westlake. Instead, they chose the slightly quieter and beautiful Qiantang River. The riverside Golden Coast on Zhejiang Road was also a relatively good community on the west bank of Qiantang River. Qin Sheng had already called Uncle Zhuang's friend. A man was waiting for them at the entrance of the community. He took them into the new home and left the key to them. The new home had 2 bedrooms and 2 living rooms. The decoration was very luxurious and belonged to the modern American style. When they opened the window, they could see the river view. It was similar to the Pearl Bay Gardens sea view room that they had stayed in Xiamen. This house is quite good, Shui Qingyan said after the tour. She followed them to see how the environment was. After all, Qin Sheng and Lin Su had not been here before. If the environment was too bad, then she would let Qin Sheng and Lin Su live in her house by Westlake. The second thing was to recognize the house. In the future, they could directly come over when they were free. As for the accommodation, Qin Sheng and Lin Su did not have any requirements, as long as there was a place to rest. Now that they were living in such a riverside mansion, how could they not be satisfied? You said that this house was arranged by the man who saved you? Shui Qingyan asked casually. Qin Sheng said truthfully, during this period, everything that I had was arranged by him. I don't know how to repay this great kindness. Shui Qingyan was more interested in this kind of man. She smiled and said, If he comes to Hangzhou tomorrow and is free and suitable, I will host a dinner to thank him in person. Then I will ask when the time comes. Qin Sheng nodded and said, All right, you go ahead with your work. I have something to do in the afternoon, so I will leave first. I will be in Hangzhou these 2 days. I will contact you later. Shui Qingyan took the initiative to say goodbye. She first let Qin Sheng and Lin Su familiarize themselves with the environment and rest. Lin Su opened all the windows. The whole house was equipped with daily necessities. Whether it was the kitchen or the bathroom, everything seemed to be new, whether it was the kitchen or the bathroom. Uncle Zhuang probably told them to do so. Chapter 198. A Pie in the Sky. Where's the monthly ticket? Compared to the bustling Shanghai, Hangzhou, which was surrounded by mountains and lakes, was quieter. However, it was a first-tier city in the country after all. It was not easy to stand out in this city. After what happened in Shanghai, Qinsheng was no longer anxious for success. No matter what job Uncle Zhuang found for him, he would start again step by step. What are you thinking about? After Lin Su familiarized herself with the new environment, she walked to Qinsheng and took away the cigarette that he had just smoked and asked softly. During this period of recuperation, Qinsheng did not smoke or drink much, mainly because Lin Su was strict with him. He was used to it now. Qinsheng was not angry. He smiled and said, "I'm thinking, when will I have the ability to face your family and marry you openly, instead of being chased around like a stray dog?" Lin Su laughed and said, "Anyway, I'm already yours. What are you worried about? Don't think too much. Let's go to the supermarket to buy some things. We still need a lot of necessities. Buy some vegetables, too. We'll cook at home tonight." "Okay, I'll listen to you, madam," Qinsheng said. After being busy for half a day, buying a lot of food and necessities, and going to the furniture city to buy some decorations, it was already 6 o'clock when they came back. Qinsheng and Lin Su followed closely into the kitchen. The husband and wife chatted and laughed as they cooked. In the evening, Zhuang Zhou and Qin Chang'an sat opposite each other in the Sihiyuan of the Qin family in the eastern district of Sizhou City. There were a few dishes and 2 bottles of Wuyangye on the table. Gongsun accompanied them. "Lao Zhuang, let me toast you first. You saved the brat's life. I'll remember this favor," Qin Chang'an said with confidence as he raised his glass. Zhuang Zhou was a little surprised and quickly said, "Brother Qin, given the relationship between our families, you don't have to be so polite. I owe the Qin family too much. This is what I should do. Moreover, Qin Sheng was seriously injured. It's my fault." Qin Chang'an waved his hand. Then, he poured a glass of wine and said, "That's a different matter. Let's talk about it separately. This second glass of wine is because I've troubled you in the past half a year. I've asked you to accompany me to put on a show. It's just a small matter. I didn't do anything," Zhuang Zhou said with fear and trepidation. Qin Chang'an was much older than him, and he was also an all-powerful tycoon. Zhuang Zhou found it hard to accept Qin Chang'an's 2 consecutive toasts. After the 2 toasts, Qin Chang'an continued to say, "I've already told the people in Hangzhou. Let the lad follow Chowda and train him well. Tomorrow, you should contact Chowda first and get familiar with him. Don't show any flaws." "All right, don't worry about that. I'll meet Mr. Chow tomorrow," Zhuang Zhou said in a deep voice. Since Qin Chang'an had troubled Zhuang Zhou for so long, he felt somewhat embarrassed. Consequently, he said, "After we finish tomorrow's business, you don't have to worry about this guy anymore." Zhuang Zhou frowned and said, "When Qin Sheng returns to Hangzhou, he will definitely face his former enemies. I'm afraid that they will find trouble with him again. Anyway, I have nothing to do. I can stay in Hangzhou for a while. Ha, once bitten, twice shy. This lad is smart. He won't make the same mistake twice. Besides, I'll go to Hangzhou often. If the Yin and Lin families really want to die, I'll definitely let them remember what the price is." Qin Chang'an squinted his eyes and snorted. It was not that he did not want to take revenge. He just wanted to give the opportunity to Qin Sheng. Otherwise, where would he have the motivation? Since Qin Chang'an had made arrangements, Zhuang Zhou did not say anything more. He nodded silently and said, "Okay, I understand." Zhuang Zhou was very clear that Hangzhou was not a place for Qin Sheng to stay for a long time. As long as Qin Chang'an and Qin Sheng recognized each other, Qin Sheng's stage was destined to be in Sizhou City. That was because this group of big families were clear that only by gaining a firm foothold in Sizhou City could they make waves in other places. As for those families outside of Sizhou City, which of them did not want to squeeze their way in? In the morning, Xue Qingyan took Qin Sheng and Lin Su to West Lake Zaiwiguan for breakfast. There was also a man with them. He had been good friends with Xue Qingyan for many years. The 2 families were also considered friends. Now, this man was already a director with real power in the Municipal Public Security Bureau. His future might not be very promising, but he would at least be at the director level. Xue Qingyan introduced Qin Sheng to him to give Qin Sheng more protection in Hangzhou. If those bad guys saw Qin Sheng and this man getting close, they would have to think twice about dealing with Qin Sheng. There were a few steamed dumplings, soup dumplings, and a bowl of wonton for each person. Xue Qingyan also ordered cat ears. Every time she returned to Hangzhou, she would have breakfast at Zaiwiguan the next day. This was a habit for many years. I was wondering why you thought of inviting me to breakfast today. It turns out that you have friends. The man came late. After sitting down, he smiled and said. Then he looked at Qin Sheng and Lin Su sitting next to Xue Qingyan. Qin Sheng was ordinary, but Lin Su surprised him. However, the man knew how to hide. He returned to normal in an instant. He smiled and nodded to Qin Sheng and Lin Su. The man had a square face and big eyes. He looked righteous. He was not tall. He wore a white short-sleeved shirt and leather shoes, just like those leaders on TV. Zaiwiguan was a time-honored brand. Whether it was Hangzhou cuisine or breakfast snacks, it was famous in Hangzhou. Foreign tourists would definitely try it when they came to Hangzhou. So there were a lot of customers in the morning. They sat on the second floor. Xue Qingyan had ordered all the dishes. She knew what this man ate better than anyone else. Xue Qingyan teased, I don't have friends. We are all family. This is my brother and sister-in-law. They just arrived in Hangzhou yesterday, so I brought them here to try it. Aren't you just nearby? I thought I had to make an appointment to invite Director Fong to dinner. Oh, it turns out to be brother and sister-in-law. Welcome to Hangzhou. My name is Fong Jianping. I grew up with Qingyan. The man took the initiative to introduce himself. People in the official circle were naturally not afraid of strangers. My name is Qin Sheng. This is my girlfriend, Lin Su. Qin Sheng responded. Lin Su smiled and nodded. Xue Qingyan said angrily, Others don't know you, but I know you well. Don't show off in front of my brother and sister-in-law. I didn't invite you for dinner today for nothing. Well, I knew it was not a good thing. If I knew it, I wouldn't have come. Fong Jianping looked regretful. At the same time, he picked up a crab roe bun and put it into his mouth. Xue Qingyan said seriously, It's not that easy to leave. But don't be afraid. It's not a big deal. It's just that my brother and sister-in-law will develop in Hangzhou in the future. I don't stay in Hangzhou anymore. I'm afraid that someone will bully them. I want you to help me take care of them. Madam, you don't need me to take care of you. As long as you show off your golden signboard. Which idiot in Hangzhou dares to provoke you? Fong Jianping laughed out loud. Xue Qingyan snorted and said, I'm talking to you. Don't interrupt me. If something really happens, I definitely won't need your help. I think I should take good care of my brother and sister-in-law. If they lose even a strand of hair, you can hold me accountable, okay? Fong Jianping said firmly. Then he said to Qin Sheng, Brother Qin Sheng, let's exchange phone numbers. You can call me if you need anything. Don't think it's troublesome. Anyway, I owe her a lot, in case she ridicules me in the future. Fong Jianping was so proactive and gave him face. Qin Sheng quickly took out his phone and said, Brother Fong, I'll have to trouble you in the future. Don't be so polite with me. Treat me as one of our own. Otherwise, your sister will wave at me later. Fong Jianping laughed and said. Then he exchanged phone numbers with Qin Sheng. Fong Jianping knew Xue Qingyan very well. Since she could not wait to introduce him, it meant that the man in front of him was very important to Xue Qingyan. Moreover, to judge a man, one had to look at the woman beside him. Qin Sheng's girlfriend was an absolute beauty. She did not belong to Xue Qingyan at all. Obviously, this man was not simple. Unfortunately, Fong Jianping guessed completely wrong. Qin Sheng was really an ordinary F**king loser. After breakfast, Fong Jianping hurried to work. He had to accompany the leader to inspect the work later. This absolutely could not be delayed. Before he left, he took the initiative to ask Qin Sheng to have dinner together another day. Xue Qingyan took Qin Sheng and Lin Su for a walk by the West Lake. Lin Su had been to Hangzhou many times and had visited the West Lake many times. This was only Qin Sheng's second time here. Fong Jianping and I have a good relationship. Now he is in the office of the Municipal Public Security Bureau. At the end of the year, he will go to the provincial office to train. His family is in the political and legal system. In the future, you should contact him more often. If there's anything, you can really help. Don't be afraid of trouble and owing favors, Xue Qingyan said without any disguise. Otherwise, she would not have introduced him to Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng knew what Xue Qingyan meant. With this relationship, it could really be useful at the critical moment. So he nodded and said, I got it. I won't take you around Hangzhou. I have to go back to Shanghai in the afternoon. Lin Su should know Hangzhou better. Anyway, you have nothing to do these 2 days. Let him take you around, Xue Qingyan said with a smile. Originally, she wanted to have dinner with the man who arranged everything for Qin Sheng, but he did not give her face. Last night, Qin Sheng called and asked Zhuangzhou. Zhuangzhou was afraid of giving himself away, so he politely refused. After Xue Qingyan left, Lin Su took Qin Sheng to ride the little yellow car and casually strolled around the West Lake. This was the first time that Qin Sheng really felt the atmosphere of this city. Although Hangzhou was a little hot in summer, the scenery was also pleasant. It was too hot at noon. Qin Sheng and Lin Su were sweating all over, so they went home directly. After taking a bath and taking a nap, Zhuangzhou called and asked Qin Sheng to meet directly at the West Lake State Guest House. Qin Sheng saw that it was almost time and was ready to leave. Lin Su was very sensible and said that she would not go. She had an appointment with a friend in Hangzhou at night. After disappearing for so long, she had to let everyone know that she was still alive. Qin Sheng did not insist, so he took a taxi to the West Lake State Guest House. At night, the West Lake was not as lively as during the day. Sitting by the window of the tea room of the West Lake State Guest House, enjoying the West Lake in the night, feeling the breeze blowing and drinking West Lake Longjing, it was very comfortable. Zhuangzhou arrived in Hangzhou at noon. Qin Chang'an's friend sent a car to pick him up. They stayed at Mai Jiawu for the whole afternoon and only changed to the West Lake State Guest House in the evening. This was also because Zhuangzhou was staying here at night. Chao was in his early 40s, about the same age as Zhuangzhou, but more than 10 years younger than Qin Chang'an. Until now, he did not expect to receive a call from Qin Chang'an. It was really surprising. However, for him, this was like a pie falling from the sky. After all, his relationship with Qin Chang'an was not that close. If he wanted to jump on Qin Chang'an's big boat, then he had to do this well. This was Qin Chang'an's son, his biological son, not an illegitimate son. It was the first time he heard that Qin Chang'an had a son. If he could build a good relationship with the Qin family's young master, the Chao family would also rise in the future. Chapter 199. A new job, begging for monthly votes. I've been working hard these 2 days. Zhujiang businessmen were rich and powerful. Therefore, Chao, who was a small businessman, was not a particularly powerful big shot in Hangzhou. There were many people who were richer than him. You could easily find someone who was richer than him by smashing a brick in Hangzhou. After all, Hangzhou was the base camp of Zhujiang businessmen. Boss Ma was the uncrowned king of this city. The others were just onlookers. However, Chao was not simple. He had a wide network and knew many people from all walks of life. He was loyal and straightforward. Everyone respected him. Besides, his father's generation had some power in the past, so his business was smooth sailing. Although he could not become a big shot with billions of yuan, he lived a comfortable life in Hangzhou and had some say. Obviously, he was not an ordinary person since he knew Qin Chang'an. It was even more difficult for Qin Chang'an to entrust his son to him. The Westlake State Guest House was the best hotel in Hangzhou. It was located in Yanggonti by Westlake. It used to be called Water Bamboo House in Liuzhuang. Later, it became the West Lake State Guest House. Whether it was national leaders or foreign heads of state, they basically stayed here when they came to Hangzhou. In the lakeside tea house of the West Lake State Guest House, Chao and Zhuangzhou sat opposite each other. They were drinking West Lake Longjing and enjoying the beautiful scenery of West Lake, waiting for Qin Sheng's arrival. Chao did not know Zhuangzhou's identity. After all, he was not in Qin Chang'an's circle of friends. Qin Chang'an just thought that Qin Sheng was the most suitable place to learn. His position was neither high nor low. Mr. Chao, I still say the same thing. Don't expose Master Qin at any time. You can scold him or beat him. If he really causes trouble, don't worry. Master Qin will handle it. Zhuang Zhou was worried and reminded him again. Chowda nodded silently. I still don't understand. What is Master Qin doing? You don't need to worry about that. You just need to do what you need to do. After this is over, Master Qin won't mistreat you, promised Zhuang Zhou. Chowda also understood that this was his only chance. Chowda had already thought of a countermeasure. Anyway, he could not treat Qin Sheng too well, nor could he treat him too badly. He would train him as an ordinary junior. Consequently, he nodded silently and said, Okay, don't worry. More than 10 minutes later, Qin Sheng finally found the lakeside tea house. Under the guidance of the waiter, he came to Zhuang Zhou and Chowda. In fact, Chowda, who was facing Qin Sheng, had already noticed him. However, he immediately came to his senses and continued to chat with Zhuang Zhou. This was the attitude of an elder. It was impossible for him to stand up and welcome Qin Sheng. After Qin Sheng came in, he saw Zhuang Zhou, who was sitting by the bed and drinking tea, and the man opposite him. Qin Sheng looked at the man as he walked. He could feel the man's imposing manner. Well, how could the man introduced by Uncle Zhuang be an ordinary person? Uncle Zhuang, Qin Sheng said softly after walking to the side. Zhuang Zhou came to himself and said happily, Qin Sheng, you are here. Sit down. It was not until then that Chowda looked at Qin Sheng seriously. Qin Sheng naturally had the same surname as Master Qin. There was no doubt about it. Between his facial features and eyebrows, he was indeed somewhat similar to Master Qin. Even his eyes and aura were similar to Master Qin's. As expected, he was the offspring of the Qin family. He was definitely not an ordinary young man. This is my good friend of many years, Mr. Chowda. He is a famous stubborn man in Hangzhou. Zhuang Zhou introduced him casually in the same tone as before. Qin Sheng nodded quickly and said, Hello, Uncle Chow. You are welcome. Chowda kept calm and said, Waiter, another cup of Longjing tea. After introducing themselves to each other, Zhuang Zhou went straight to the point and said, Qin Sheng, I have a lot of business dealings with Mr. Chow. Ever since I moved my headquarters to Beijing, I rarely interfered with the matters in Hangzhou. So, I entrusted you to Mr. Chow. You can slowly train under him. Mr. Chow is not an ordinary person. You can learn a lot from him. Uncle Zhuang, don't worry. I will definitely work hard with Uncle Chow. Qin Sheng said very modestly. Uncle Chow, I will trouble you in the future. If there is anything wrong, please teach me. I like young people with potential. As long as you do things honestly, I will definitely not treat you badly. Don't worry about this, Chowda said in a deep voice. Qin Sheng asked directly, Uncle Chow, what should I do first? Secondly, I have a lot of entertainment businesses in Hangzhou. When you are free, you can help me keep an eye on them. These 2 years, I haven't been in charge of these businesses. There are a lot of people who live off me and help me keep an eye on them. This was what Chowda and Zhuang Zhou had discussed. It was also what Qin Chang'an had agreed to. Of course, there was a deeper meaning behind this arrangement. Chowda and Zhuang Zhou had discussed this with each other. It was also what Qin Chang'an had agreed to. Naturally, there was a deeper meaning behind this arrangement. Chowda and Zhuang Zhou had agreed to it. After listening to Chowda's words, Qin Sheng was more or less surprised. He thought it was an ordinary job, but he did not expect Mr. Chow to value him so much. At the same time, Qin Sheng also guessed something from Mr. Chow's words. Those who could get involved in the entertainment industry were not ordinary people. It seemed that Mr. Chow was also a big shot in Hangzhou. Okay, I will listen to Uncle Chow's arrangement. Qin Sheng did not refuse. Chowda thought for a while and said, You can start with this job first. I have other businesses. If you feel that it is not suitable, then I will change it for you. Zhuang Zhou echoed, Old Chow, you don't have to worry. This guy can do anything and endure any hardships. He will definitely not let you down. Mr. Chow took a sip of tea and said with a smile, This is the best. Qin Sheng's things were arranged. He was very satisfied with it. He was also suitable for this kind of job. As for Lin Su's job, Zhuang Zhou said slowly, I have chosen 2 jobs for Lin Su. One is CITIC Securities' Zhujiang branch. Lin Su can choose whichever department she wants. With her ability, she is qualified. After all, this is her job. The other one is a charity fund. I know that Lin Su used to do charity bursaries and is good at it. Let her choose later and inform me later. Thank you, Uncle Zhuang. I will go back and discuss with her first, then I will call you. Qin Sheng was very pleased. These two jobs were not bad. He was not sure which one Lin Su would choose. What should be said had been said. This show was finally over. Zhuang Zhou really did not know what Qin Sheng would think of him if he knew the truth in the future. Okay, you go back first. Contact Mr. Chao later and listen to his arrangement, Zhuang Zhou ordered. Chao took out his business card and handed it to Qin Sheng. This is my business card. If you think you can start work, call the number above to contact me. Qin Sheng took the business card and looked at it very seriously. It was the chairman of Yuanda Holding Group, Chao Da. After putting the business card away, Qin Sheng slowly got up and said goodbye to Zhuang Zhou and Chao Da, then left happily. After coming out of the Westlake State Guest House, Qin Sheng quickly called Lin Su. At this time, she was chatting with a friend in a bar on Nanshan Road. Hearing Qin Sheng say that Uncle Zhuang had arranged everything, she asked Qin Sheng to come directly. The entertainment life of Hangzhou people was rich and colorful. They drank tea and played cards leisurely in my Jiawu and Longjing village. They drank coffee in Westlake World and were intoxicated with the lake view. They were intoxicated in the Lakeside Road pedestrian street and were crazy in the bars on Nanshan Road Bar Street. How to entertain yourself was only your choice. It was a pity that Nanshan Road had long been in decline in recent years. Although the geographical location was good, there was a lot of traffic, and it was driven by the students of the China Academy of Fine Arts. However, most investors could not afford the high rent. Nowadays, the most popular bars were around Huanglong, but there were more nightclubs there. The bars on Nanshan Road were relatively quiet. This was also one of the reasons why Lin Su and her friend agreed to meet here. This bar was called Jiuyin, and its business was relatively good among the bars on Nanshan Road. Lin Su and her friend sat in the corner, listening to the slightly hoarse voice of the resident singer, drinking cocktails and chatting. This was the first time she had contacted a friend in the past 6 months, except for seeing Lin Yu. This friend was a beauty with temperament. She was a teacher at the China Academy of Fine Arts, so she chose the nearest Nanshan Road. She grew up with Lin Su. Later, one was in Hangzhou and the other was in Shanghai. Every time Lin Su came to Hangzhou, she would take the initiative to contact her, but this time she called her, she was shocked. After all, everyone in their circle knew about Lin Su's affairs. It was said that she refused Yin Chaozong and chose an ordinary man. After falling out with her family, they eloped. No one could contact her. It had been more than half a year. I didn't expect it to be you. I thought I would never see you again. The beauty was called Xiao Ruoqing. The name was very poetic. She had long hair and outstanding temperament. She was a typical artistic young woman who liked to travel and listen to songs. Lin Su pouted and said, "How could it be? I'm back now. What the hell is going on? Is it true? What do you think?" Xiao Ruoqing asked with big eyes. Lin Su didn't want to mention these trivial things. She smiled and said, "What you heard is the truth. I'm willing to give up everything for love and freedom." Well, I support you on this point. I would rather marry love than marry reality. Xiao Ruoqing nodded. She was such a woman. She would only choose the man she liked. Even if others liked her, she would not be moved. After talking about the values of love, Xiao Ruoqing said with interest, "So you will stay in Hangzhou in the future?" "Well, where he is, I will be there. I will definitely develop in Hangzhou in a short time. As for the future, I will listen to him." Lin Su bowed her head and smiled. Xiao Ruoqing was really shocked by Lin Su's appearance. She sighed and said, "I didn't expect that our former school bell goddess would have such a love-struck moment. I really want to see who this man is. He conquered you." Lin Su said with a happy face, "He is very simple and ordinary. He is not as great as you think. For me, everything is not important. Who made me like him?" This was not what Lin Su, who had never been in love, said. Xiao Ruoqing was really speechless. But every woman in love was like this. Xiao Ruoqing was not surprised. Wasn't she like this before? Lin Su took out her mobile phone and looked at the time. She said lightly, Let's sit for a while. You should be here soon. Shower watching looked forward to it. Chapter 200. A false alarm. Today is the second update. This month's update rhythm is that if there is nothing important, there will be 2 updates every day. If there is, there will only be 1 update. Juin was a restaurant-type bar. In recent years, this style of dining bar was more popular, such as Walnut and so on. After Xiao watching and Lin Su finished their meal, they sat here and continued to drink and listen to music. Today, in order to meet Uncle Zhuang and Mr. Chow, he dressed more decently and spiritedly. After all, it was the first time he met them. He had to leave a good impression. This was a habit and attitude that a young man had to learn. After Qin Sheng walked in the bar, he found Lin Su. Lin Su's habits were similar to his, either by the window or in the corner. At the same time, he saw Xiao Ruoqing sitting opposite, so he walked over slowly with a smile on his face. "Hello." Qin Sheng took the initiative to greet him. Lin Su and Xiao Ruoqing had already stood up. Xiao Ruoqing looked at Qin Sheng with a smile. Lin Su took Qin Sheng's arm and said, "This is my boyfriend, Qin Sheng. My best friend, a teacher at the China Academy of Fine Arts, a talented woman, Xiao Ruoqing." Lin Su looked at Xiao Ruoqing and introduced. Qin Sheng nodded slightly as he said, "I'm sorry to have kept you waiting for such a long time. I was busy just now." "It's okay. Su and I haven't seen each other for a long time. After dinner, we will sit here and drink some wine and chat." Xiao Ruoqing's initial impression of Qin Sheng was good. She smiled and reached out her hand. "Sit down and talk. What would you like to drink?" The waiter had already come over with the wine list. Qin Sheng opened the wine list and ordered a glass of Godfather casually. During this period of time, he had been drinking in small quantities. He was not as carefree as he had been in the past, because there was no one who was worthy of him drinking with a big bowl. "I was just talking to Su about what kind of man had chased our goddess. Now I finally see the true face of Lushan. It really makes me envious," Xiao Ruoqing joked. Qin Sheng replied somewhat embarrassedly, "Maybe it's because of the good karma I accumulated in my previous life. Sometimes I feel that it's unbelievable that I met her in this life. Will I use up all my luck? I think you were taking advantage of it and still showing off." Xiao Ruoqing covered her mouth and smiled. Lin Su did not let go of his hand. She said coquettishly, "Ruoqing, don't bully him." Xiao Ruoqing pouted and said, "Oh, you're already protecting me. We've been friends for more than 20 years. You really value a lover more than a friend." I'm jealous." The two beauties frolicking, laughing, and scolding each other was a beautiful scene. The seat by the window was darker, so Qin Sheng did not notice this acquaintance. However, this acquaintance kept staring at Qin Sheng. He was very surprised to see this man in Hangzhou. Qin Sheng was very surprised to see this man in Hangzhou. The man hesitated for a moment and called the waiter over. He asked directly, "What's the most expensive red wine here?" Sitting next to the man were 2 friends, a man and a woman. They didn't look like ordinary people. They also noticed that he had been staring at the man who had just come in and asked subconsciously, "Did you meet someone you know?" "A friend of mine," the man said casually. He didn't tell the truth. Then, he looked at the waitress and waited for her answer. The woman, or rather the girl, snorted and said, "What good wine can there be here? Maybe it's fake. You don't understand. Let me do it. There's no need to be a fool." Some non-mainstream girls took the wine list, glanced at it casually, and said directly, "This bottle of Chateau Cheval Blanc, 12 years old. This should be the best in your shop. Miss, you have a good eye. Our boss also likes the red wine of Chateau Cheval Blanc. This is one of the only 2 bottles left." The waiter quickly flattered. This bottle of wine cost nearly 5,000 yuan. Who would order such an expensive red wine when they came here? Their bar did not have this kind of atmosphere. This should be the first time he saw someone order such an expensive red wine since he came here for a long time. Fortunately, the boss left 2 bottles here. Otherwise, he would be embarrassed today. The non-mainstream girl snorted and said, "Why are you talking so much nonsense?" The waiter smiled bitterly. The man took out his credit card and threw it to the waiter. Then he pointed to Qin Sheng's table and said, The red wine will be given to the gentleman at that table. After that, he took out a few hundred yuan and handed it to the waiter. This is for you. The waiter was shocked again. What kind of trick was this? He ordered such an expensive wine and did not drink it himself. He wanted to give it to others. What the hell? Rich people really knew how to play. He did not dare to say anything more. He took the tip and left. Qin Sheng, Lin Su, and Xiao Watching were chatting congenially. Literary and artistic young women always like some chicken soup for the soul. Qin Sheng, who graduated from the philosophy department, was a professional. Xiao Watching was completely led by Qin Sheng's rhythm. She listened to Qin Sheng's words intently. At this time, the waiter sent the bottle of Chateau, Cheval Blanc, that the boss had collected. Before the waiter could speak, Xiao Watching, who was treating tonight, frowned and said, "This is the wrong one. We didn't order red wine." The waiter pointed to the guest at the window, not far away, and said, "This is a gift from the guest at that table to this gentleman." He had seen people who ordered wine in bars and gave it to beautiful women. This was a common way of picking up girls. There were two great beauties at this table. It was not strange for handsome young men or playboys to give wine to them. However, it was a fantasy for a man like Qin Sheng. After all, Qin Sheng did not know any friends in Hangzhou. Could it be that the guests at that table were gay? After listening to the waiter's words, Qin Sheng, Lin Su, and Xiao Watching looked at the guest at the same time. When he saw the man who sent the wine, Qin Sheng's face instantly became cold, followed by a kind of vigilance and nervousness. This was the first night in Hangzhou. Was there going to be a life-and-death fight? Because this man was not a friend, but an enemy. His name was Yang Deng. Last year, when Qin Sheng had just arrived in Shanghai, Han Guoping had not committed suicide yet. Many of his enemies were hitting him when he was down, preparing to divide him and eat him up. Han Guoping was worried about Han Bing's safety, so he asked Qin Sheng to protect Han Bing. And the first opponent Qin Sheng met, who was evenly matched with, was this man, Yang Deng, a fierce general under 3rd Master Wu in Jiangxia, was said to be the adopted son of 3rd Master Wu. That night, Qin Sheng did not dare to be careless. He tried his best to take down Yang Deng. He also paid a little price and was slightly injured. However, Qin Sheng did not kill Yang Deng. After seriously injuring him, he finally inserted the dagger into Yang Deng's thigh and left, leaving him to die. That incident was finally suppressed by Jiang Xianbang. In the end, it was also because Yang Deng did not die. Otherwise, Qin Sheng, who had provoked 3rd Master Wu, would not live so well. Now, after nearly a year, the two opponents met again, but on such an occasion. Qin Sheng was as surprised as Yang Deng. He did not expect that Yang Deng would send wine to him. But after all, they were enemies. There used to be grievances between them. Yang Deng almost died in his hands. Today they met by chance. Yang Deng might take revenge. After the incident in Mount Jiuhua, Qin Sheng had to be careful when he encountered things. What's more, he also brought Lin Su and Lin Su's best friend. Qin Sheng squinted and stared at Yang Deng opposite him, thinking about the worst consequences and countermeasures. Xiao Watching didn't know what was going on. After coming back to her senses, she took the red wine and looked at it carefully. She was pleasantly surprised. Tisk, it's actually the 12-year-old Chateau Blanc. Qin Sheng did not answer Xiao Watching's words. After thinking for a moment, he finally got up and pinched Lin Su's palm quietly. Lin Su immediately realized that something was wrong. Obviously, Qin Sheng and the man were not friends. If they were friends, Qin Sheng would not have such a face. At this time, Yang Deng got up with a faint smile and walked toward Qin Sheng. His two friends did not follow. Qin Sheng did not show weakness and followed Yang Deng. The two people's eyes had been looking at each other. If their eyes could be turned into a movie, it would definitely be a fight. A few seconds later, Qin Sheng and Yang Deng stood in the center of the bar, facing each other, only 1 meter away from each other. The others present seemed to be able to feel the strangeness of the two people. The atmosphere was a little tense for a while. There was a situation where they would fight if they did not agree. Even a resident singer was so scared that he forgot his words. If these two people fought, this bar would probably be lost. Xiao Ruoqing also felt something was wrong and asked in a low voice, "What's going on?" Lin Su said calmly, "Drinking, it has nothing to do with us." In the center of the bar, the dim light swept over the two people, giving them the feeling of a life and death duel in the movies. "I didn't expect to see you in Hangzhou. It's really unexpected," Yang Deng said first. Hangzhou was his home field. He must have enough aura to suppress Qin Sheng, even though he almost died in Qin Sheng's hands last time. Qin Sheng's mouth showed a slight smile and replied, "Me too. Should we be considered enemies who are particularly angry when they meet?" "It seems that you are afraid," Yang Deng said with some disdain. Qin Sheng said disapprovingly, "Afraid? I should tell you this. I'm just afraid that if we really fight, it will not be worth it to destroy this bar." "I'm afraid? Don't you know whose territory Hangzhou belongs to?" Yang Deng said with full confidence. This was a big and also a fact. Third Master Wu was a fierce and ambitious person in Zhujiang, and there were really few people who did not give him face. Qin Sheng would take root here in the future. As soon as he arrived in Hangzhou, he met Yang Deng. If they really fought, it was estimated that he would not be able to stay in Hangzhou in the future, and he would have to wander from place to place. Therefore, Qin Sheng admitted defeat and sighed. "Well, to be honest, I am afraid. However, I am not afraid of you, but I am afraid of Third Master Wu behind you. I will live in Hangzhou in the future. If I offend you, I can only leave." "Straightforward, interesting," Yang Deng said thoughtfully. At the same time, he was thinking about Qin Sheng's words. The meaning was very obvious. This man would develop in Hangzhou in the future, so he was afraid. Qin Sheng did not want to pretend to be polite, so he said directly, "What should I do to let it go?" Qin Sheng laid his cards on the table. However, Yang Deng burst out laughing and said, "I really don't understand. Why do you treat me as an enemy instead of friend? If you were my enemy, I wouldn't send you wine. Instead, I might send you a knife." "What do you mean?" Qin Sheng was a little confused. Yang Deng slowly took 2 steps forward, patted Qin Sheng's shoulder, and said, "At that time, we worked for different masters and did our own things. If I was defeated by you, I can only say that I was not as good as you. You could have killed me, but you spare my life. I will remember this favor. I will not bite the hand that feeds me, and I will also distinguish between kindness and hatred. In my eyes, you are a friend, not an enemy." "Friend?" Qin Sheng muttered to himself. He really did not understand Yang Deng's trick. He had some taboos, so he would not trust Yang Deng easily. Yang Deng patted Qin Sheng's shoulder again and said, "If you want, we can be friends. In the future, if you have any problems in Hangzhou, you can come to me. If there is a chance, I will drink with you. Let's go." After saying this, Yang Deng did not wait for Qin Sheng to understand. He directly turned around and waved his hand to leave. Then, he directly left the bar with his 2 friends, leaving only Qin Sheng standing there in confusion. Chapter 201. All women are the same after Yang Deng left. Qin Sheng still did not come back to his senses. He took a few deep breaths to calm down his inner uneasiness. Only then did he find that his palms and back were all sweaty, which showed how nervous he was just now. Qin Sheng could not help but scold himself for being so useless. Qin Sheng was really scared tonight. He almost thought that he was going to fight with Yang Deng. When he just returned to Shanghai, he fought with Yang Deng for the first time. Would he fight with Yang Deng for the first time after he recovered from his injury in Hangzhou? Was this man his nemesis? Secondly, if he really fought with Yang Deng, then he could not stay in Hangzhou anymore. The power of Third Master Wu would kill him. He had not settled down yet, but he had to wander around, which completely disrupted his plan. Qin Sheng must be very disappointed. Unexpectedly, it was a false alarm in the end. However, Qin Sheng still did not dare to take it lightly. After suffering a loss, he had to be more careful when doing things. After all, he still did not know what kind of person Yang Deng was. If Yang Deng played a retreat in order to advance, first to stabilize him, and then to design a trap, then Qin Sheng would definitely not be fooled. If Yang Deng really regarded him as a friend, as he said, then Qin Sheng felt that this man was absolutely a pure man. He was open and above board, and he was a good friend. But it took time to verify these. Back to the seat, Shower Watching stared at Qin Sheng with a puzzled face. Qin Sheng just made her feel very strange, but she could not tell what was wrong. She smiled and said, "Your friend left? Well, he still has something to do, so he left first. I didn't expect to meet him here. I will meet him another day," Qin Sheng said perfunctorily. Shower Watching took the red wine and said excitedly, "Your friend is very generous. He gave me a bottle of Chateau Cheval Blanc. He is a rich second generation, and his family is doing trade," Qin Sheng said with a smile. Lin Su knew that what happened just now was not as simple as she imagined, but with Shower Watching present, she could not ask anything. She could only wait until she got home. The bottle of red wine given by Yang Ding was not opened. Qin Sheng took the initiative to give it to Shower Watching. He was in poor health and basically did not drink much. Lin Su rarely touched wine, except for occasional drinks at social gatherings. They could all see that Shower Watching liked this bottle of red wine very much, and finally accepted it with a smile. It was already 10 o'clock in the evening when he arrived at Binjiang Golden Coast from Nanshan Road. Qin Sheng directly sat on the sofa as soon as he entered the room. After Lin Su came out of the bathroom, she asked, "Who was the man you met in the bar today? You were so nervous at that time." "It's a long story. When I first arrived in Shanghai, Uncle Han asked me to protect Han Bing. The power behind this man wanted to harm Han Bing, so he sent him to kidnap Han Bing. So we had a fight. I won and he lost. I could have killed him at that time, but I spared his life. So strictly speaking, we're not friends, but enemies. I didn't expect to meet you here today," Qin Sheng explained slowly. Lin Su knew Qin Sheng and knew that this was not the main point. She continued to ask, "What else? If that's all, I don't think you would be so nervous." Qin Sheng held Lin Su in his arms and said with a smile, "My wife is still smart. It's okay to meet him. I'm not afraid of fighting with him, but I'm afraid of the power behind him. That master is a big shot in Zhejiang. We will live in Hangzhou in the future. Do you think I'm afraid? If we really fight, then we have to pack up and move to another place tomorrow." "I understand," Lin Su said thoughtfully. This should be what Qin Sheng was most worried about, but she was curious and asked, "What happened in the end?" Qin Sheng sighed and said with a smile, "In the end, he said that we are friends, not enemies. So he gave us wine, but I didn't dare to believe it. So on the road just now, I asked the driver to take a detour, which is also a precaution. It's not wrong to be careful." "Maybe you think too much," Lin Su said with relief. Qin Sheng nodded silently and said, "I hope so. If we can be friends, who want to be enemies?" Lin Su got up and poured a glass of water for the two of them. She washed some fruits and peeled a mango for Qin Sheng and asked, "How was the talk with Uncle Zhuang today? What did he arrange?" "If you didn't ask, I almost forgot about it." Qin Sheng came back to his senses. He had been thinking about Yang Ding and forgot about the important things. He quickly took out his business card and said, "Uncle Zhuang asked me to follow a friend of his, Mr. Chow of Yuanda Holding Group, to be his special assistant. I'm not clear about the specific work." Lin Su took a few glances at Chow Da's business card and said, "I seem to have heard of it. I'll ask my friend later." "In your job, Uncle Zhuang gave you two choices. One is CITIC Securities Zhejiang branch. The other is a charity fund," Qin Sheng said while eating the mango. "What do you think? If I say that I plan to open a flower shop, you won't blame me for being useless, right?" Lin Su said half-jokingly. Qin Sheng got up and went to the bathroom to wash his hands. He smiled and said, "My biggest wish is to raise you to be fair and fat. Even if you stay at home, I won't say anything. But I know you are not that kind of woman, and I can't be so selfish. As for opening a flower shop, I also think it's good. As long as you're willing, I'll support you. I'm just joking with you. I'll feel bad if I make you so tired. When you earn a lot of money in the future, I'll think about it." Lin Su got up and put her arms around Qin Sheng's neck after Qin Sheng came out. Qin Sheng hugged Lin Su's waist and said, "As long as you don't feel bitter, it's nothing for me to be tired." Such gentle words of love, Lin Su was already moved. She took the initiative to kiss Qin Sheng and entangled with him. The two of them acted out a lively erotic scene on the sofa. This was already the rhythm of life, until Lin Su was kissed until she couldn't breathe. So, what's your choice? Qin Sheng let go of Lin Su and asked while touching her hair. Lin Su pursed her lips and thought for a while before deciding. I'm afraid that going to the securities company will be too tiring and I won't have time to take care of you. So I choose the charity fund, which is also a career that I like. Okay, I'll call Uncle Zhuang right now. Qin Sheng quickly got up and took out his phone. The new house had been tidied up and the work was also settled. Qin Sheng promised Mr. Chow that he would report in this week, so there were only 3 days left. If it was not for some trivial matters, Qin Sheng planned to go to work the next day. After all, he had already rested for more than half a year. If he continued to rest, he would be crippled. As for the trivial matters, it was to meet those friends who had been worried about him. Back then, such a big thing happened. Everyone was worried and troubled. He had heard about it from Lin Su and Xue Qingyan. Later, when he was recuperating, he did not take the initiative to contact everyone for his safety. Qin Sheng felt somewhat guilty. Now that more than half a year had passed, he had recovered and returned to Hangzhou to start over again. If he still did not contact everyone, it would really be somewhat unreasonable. Moreover, now that things have been sorted out, Qin Sheng sent a message to everyone. It was simple. I'm back in Hangzhou. Within a few seconds, the first call came. It was Xia Ding, followed by the second, Han Bing. The third, Hao Lei. The last one was Chang Baji. He knew that others would definitely contact Qin Sheng first, so he called Qin Sheng after an hour. At this time, he was traveling in Wudong Mountain. After chatting with Qin Sheng for half an hour, he decided to rush to Hangzhou tomorrow. After talking on the phone for more than an hour, Qin Sheng finally finished chatting with his friends. He only sent text messages to them. The content of the conversation was basically the same. Everyone asked him how his body was recovering, how he had been during this period of time, where he was now, and whether Lin Su was with him, etc. Qin Sheng answered them one by one. After Qin Sheng finished the call, Lin Su had already taken a shower and was lying on the bed. Just now, Qin Sheng also told her that he would inform these friends later that he was back. Lin Su did not have any reason to do so. After all, she knew that these people were very concerned about Qin Sheng. Done with the call, Lin Su, who was hiding under the quilt with the air conditioner on, was reading a book. Qin Sheng felt that Lin Su was the most beautiful when she had just taken a shower. She was like a lotus flower coming out of the water that could topple countries and cities. Qin Sheng nodded with great emotion and said, I've made everyone worry for so long. I don't feel good in my heart. They will all come to Hangzhou tomorrow. At that time, I will accompany them to get drunk. I agree, Lin Su said softly. Qin Sheng came to his senses and stared at Lin Su fiercely. You dare to take advantage of me. See how I will deal with you, girl. After that, Qin Sheng pounced on her like a fierce tiger coming down the mountain. Lin Su was so scared that she screamed involuntarily. However, not long after, there was only the sound that made people blush in the room. The two of them enjoyed it. The next morning, Lin Su was still in bed. Qin Sheng had already come back from running by the river. After taking a shower, he was making breakfast for Lin Su. At this time, he received a call from Xia Ding. He told Qin Sheng that he had already taken Hao Lei and Han Bing from Shanghai to Hangzhou. They just got off the high-speed rail and asked him to send his location as soon as possible. Qin Sheng raised his wrist and looked at the time. Oh my God, it was just past 8 o'clock. This group of people had already come to Hangzhou. Then they must have gotten up at 6 o'clock. After hanging up the phone and sending his location, Qin Sheng hurriedly ran into the bedroom. Without Qin Sheng's warm embrace, Lin Su could only hug the pillow and sleep soundly. Last night, she was bullied by Qin Sheng a lot and almost completely fell into his hands. The two of them were in love with each other. Only one last step was left. However, the timing was not right. Lin Su's relatives came without notifying her. In the end, she could only end it resentfully. Lazy cat, get up quickly. Xia Ding and the others are coming. Qin Sheng said to Lin Su by her hair. Maybe it was because her period had just come. In addition, she slept late last night, and woke up twice because of the pain. That was why she was so sleepy today. In the past, when would Lin Su still stay in bed? She had the same schedule as Qin Sheng. Lin Su subconsciously hugged Qin Sheng and said in a spoiled manner, "I'm so sleepy. Let me sleep for a while, okay?" Any woman would act like a spoiled child, whether it was a goddess or a tomboy. As long as they met a man that they liked, they would show what a woman should be like. Lin Su was the same. Qin Sheng felt a little sorry for her. He also knew that Lin Su was not feeling well. He was about to say that she should sleep for another 10 minutes, and he would wake her up later. Unexpectedly, Lin Su suddenly opened her eyes and said, "What? Xia Ding and the others are here? What time is it now?" Qin Sheng was shocked and explained, "Just past 8 o'clock. I didn't expect them to come so early." "Oh no, oh no." Lin Su hurriedly lifted the quilt and muttered. Following that, she rushed into the bathroom naked and did not care about exposing her body. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.